Good day, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. This is Viper Viperland, and I'm back here with Great Ace Attorney, part 2, case 2. So, you know, double twos. We just showed up. I don't think we did a good examination. No, we didn't. So that's what we're gonna do. Take a look around. This is some sort of makeshift stage, I think, isn't it? Where does the audience sit, though? The nightly Shakespeare performances. Actors aspiring to the great stage must practice the art, Mr. Naruhodo, with or without an audience. In fact, on a related note, perhaps you should set up a mock bench for the defense in your office. What? And you could practice your art every single day. I'll think about it. You promised to don a beard and play the role of the judge. Well, if that would help you achieve your goal, I guess I have to say. I mean, you know, sometimes you do what you gotta do. This is a gas wall light, isn't it? It must be connected to a gas pipe in the wall. Gas lights, a gas stove. London really is a city of gas. Twitch has just exploded. Oh no, what happened? Use the emote. Can't use the emote menu or anything. Oh no! I appreciate that still plays the sound, even though it clearly didn't show the emote. I only have chat. Why didn't the emote show up over here? Oh, because I think it's lowercase v. I think it's
ramen.
That's why. Okay, but the sound effect is being played through another bot, so that's why it plays that. Video loads too somehow. I mean, I'm glad the video's loading. Hopefully you can hear. It is super weird that Twitch is exploding, you know, but also not super surprising, kind of just slightly unusual. Yeah, you know. Description videos area down below is dead too. You know, nothing of value lost. It's weird though. Hold on, let me see if I refresh on my end, if it's still doing okay, or if things have exploded. Things look okay on my end. Yeah, it's got to be something between like you and your connection in Twitch. Maybe maybe Twitch just gave up. I don't know. Who knows? I hope it gets better, but hey, you got chat and you got video. Could be worse. Oh, cool. Well, I mean, congrats. Better late than never, I suppose.
It's magic.
It's confusing, but whatever. But now that I think about it, Mr. and Mrs. Gerbd had an open fire on the top floor, didn't they? Oh yes, you're right. I don't recall seeing a gas stove up there. Well, I much prefer a real fire anyway. It's so much cozier. Yeah, they really... Like, this is not one of those sequels where they're like, psh, it's fine. You can have or have not played the first game. Nobody really cares. So like, no. You played the first game, right? Very, like, yeah, of course they had an open fire in their room when we went there in the first game. You remember, because we were there in the first game. And here we have another disproportionately large machine. This looks like a meter of some kind. Ah, this is a gas meter, I think. It seems that in this district, residents pay for gas as they use it with coins. I hate that. Oh, man. Oh, I hate that. No. Ah, I see. Yes, now that you've pointed out. I can see that there's a slot just here that looks like it would take a coin. Yeah, the worst. Do you want heat? Do you want power? Do you want light? Insert coin. What's that? You didn't get change? Oh, man, that sucks. Hope you didn't want heat or light. So, I mean, if you put a coin in here, that's right, that would buy you about 2 hours of gas for lights and heating. So, if you were a poor person with no money, you'd have to sleep in the freezing cold. Yes, or if you were a scatterbrain with no change, because you forgot to exchange your money at the bank. Yeah, exactly as I was pointing out. Thank goodness there's no meter in our office. She knows, yeah. She knows us because she is us. As we've seen from outside, the window is completely bricked up. Why even have a window then? A vestige of the former window tax that Britons had to pay. Oh yeah. What strange things they used to tax in Great Britain. I mean, making people pay for the number of windows they had on the property? It's extraordinary. It's heartbreaking to think of the poor having to block up their windows just to avoid an unaffordable tax. Oh, what is it, Mr. Sada? If you look closely, a number of the bricks are loose. Aha. Oh yes, it looks as though an amateur had broken out a few of them just here. Was it Mr. Shamspeare who did it, I wonder? Being the lodger renting the room? Ah, look at this, Mr. Naruhodo. On the outside, there's a little ledge. And there's something on it. What, outside? It's out there. Look at these extravagant bright colors. No, not... Somehow they look out of place in this room with its grim, shady goings-on. This one looks like a king's attire. A king? I've always dreamt of being a king. Have you? Really? Oh, I think you'd be more suited to a feudal lord. Daimyo or such like. The chonmage? Top knot? Every Japanese man wishes he had a chonmage. Clearly. Oh, you look wonderful with one. You already have the sword. Can you imagine what would happen if I walked around the streets of London with a top knot and a sword? Nothing good. Brr, it's so cold outside. You can feel it through this gap. It did snow all last night. It would be cold. But more importantly, what is it on that ledge out there? What are those snow-covered lumps? It's more bars of soap! Soap? What are bars of soap doing lined up on a ledge outside the window? No idea. But the pair of them look rather charming like that. Still, it's very strange, isn't it? Bars of soap lined up outside the window? I think perhaps we should take one. There are two after all. Oh dear, I suppose we could. Oh, what's this? Look here at this soap. Ah, do you see? In the middle there. There's a patch that's a different color. It's sort of transparent, but some sort of fancy design, I suppose. Only in Great Britain. Looks like the Hinomaru flag of Japan, doesn't it? How wonderful. It's probably a very expensive brand. Expensive? Then what's it doing in this ramshackle old room? The bar of soap has been entered into the court record. Alright, well, we've acquired soap. No, soap. Soap. One you eat, one you clean with. I hope you don't eat soap. There's not much on these shelves, is there? Just this wine glass and bottle. And both of them are cracked. Yes, not much use, are there? What's the matter? Oh, I was just reminded of the Reaper, that's all. Prosecutor Lauren Zeeks. Yes, he's so reckless with his wine glass. Or wine glasses. I was thinking it's a waste and that he should donate some to the needy. You can suggest it next time we meet. Yeah, I'm sure he'll take super kindly to that. What's this? Looks like part of an envelope, I think. I am so glad that is not true. Yes, I think you may be right. Perhaps it was torn off when the letter was opened. Is that significant? Well, it's a little out of place, perhaps, when you look around the room. There's no sign of a letter, or the rest of the envelope, in fact, is there? Wow, she's right. And here we have the torn-off end of an envelope. It just strikes me as unusual. I agree. We'd better take this, just in case. Just different soap flavors. No. No. Just no. Ah, one of the teacups that Mr. Shamspeare and his guest drank from last night. But don't go drinking from them, Mr. Naruhodo. There's bitter poison inside. Well, I think I'm drinking any, don't worry. Anyway, the cups are both empty. That's true. So one was Mr. Shamspeare's, and the other must be the cup that Mr. Natsume was drinking from. But Soseki-san wasn't poisoned, of course. Perhaps we should take these so we can examine them in more detail later. Your teacups has been entered into the court record.
It's ramen.
Also, Aesor, how's it going? Welcome to Viperland in the chat. How you doing? Looks like you're having a good snoop around, eh? Oh, well. Inspector Gregson! Back so soon? Ah, yes. Totally replaced. After I threw that little Japanese fella in the clink, I went and reported this to the investigations division. 5 minutes time, this place will be cordoned off by the yard. Oh, I see. Well, you better be leaving then. Poor Mr. Natsume must be feeling very low being back in a cell again so soon. Sure, you should probably go and... Huh. Well, this is fine. What's wrong, Mr. Naruhodo? Gah! Out, brief candle. Life's but a walking shadow, a poor player. It struts and frets his hour upon the stage, and then is heard no more. Now, how soundeth the next part? It's a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing. Indeed! Oh, happy day! What? Walking Dead! Of course, he's a zombie. Mm-hmm. The fella isn't dead at all. What was that nonsense he was saying, though? Glad he's not dead, I guess, but wait. If he's not dead, then... what's the case? Like... then there's no case. He's alive and just took a really long soap-induced nap. As you do. I think, yes, it was from William Shakespeare's Macbeth. A soliloquy from Act 5, Scene 5. Shakespeare... the real reason this case was stricken from the record. Not actually the case, yeah. So it was that the victim, Mr. William Shamspeare, came back to life. If the man had indeed been poisoned, it transpired that it hadn't killed him. He was taken by emergency carriage to a nearby hospital for treatment. And Inspector Gregson evicted us from the scene of the crime, whatever that now was. Then what's the crime? Okay. Good luck fishing. Fish for soap? Well, let's see. It could happen. 21st February, Briar Road. Nope. Banana. Whatever do you think will happen now? Good question. What a strange situation for Mr. Natsume. Arrested for murder, but then the victim comes back to life. Perhaps the victim was never dead in the first place. It seems very likely that Mr. Shamspeare did consume poison, as we deduced. But was it an accident, attempted suicide, or attempted murder? Until the truth can be established, I imagine the police will keep Mr. Natsume in custody. Suppose so. Let's hope it doesn't come to anything more than a night in the cells. Oh, what's this? What's that man doing over there? It looks like he's trying to see into Soseki-san's lodgings. Something wrong, Mr. Naruhodo. Excuse me, could we have a word? He's got to be going. Well, he just ran off. I feel sure that I've seen that man somewhere before. Where was it? I do too, but I don't remember. What do we got out here? Seem to have some soap. With the exception of the top floor, where Mr. and Mrs. Garrett live, all the windows are bricked up. Yes, that's because of an old window tax that was charged on the number of windows a property had. In order to pay less tax, the poorer members of society filled in many of their windows. But the tax has since been abolished, hasn't it? So the windows could all be opened up again, surely. Unfortunately, it would appear that the residents of this district can't afford to pay to have the work done. Yes, that is a sad state of affairs. Oh god, this guy. Yeah. Especially for people like poor Mr. Natsume, who have to live all cooped up in a windowless room. Suppose that's the price you pay for living in very cheap accommodations. It all seems rather pointless when you put it like that. Yeah, don't it just? Okay, so we can't check out the soap. Fine. Always seems to be a bicycle outside the Garib residence. I read that bicycles are extremely popular all over Great Britain at the moment, in fact. That one seems very warped, though, especially the front wheel. Is that to make it more of a challenge to ride, do you think? No, I'm afraid that may be the result of the rider's incompetence. For the front wheel to be so badly warped, I'm afraid the rider may have been similarly afflicted. Then, there's a good chance Mr. Natsume has been practicing on this bicycle, I think. Oh dear, I fear you may be right. Not a good bicyclist. The Garib household and Mr. Natsume's lodgings are in a prominent position there on the corner. Sometimes when I look at the building, I can't help feeling that it has a bit of a slant. It does rather look as though it would collapse in even the smallest earthquake, doesn't it? Isn't it supposed to be haunted as well? I think I might have a hunch as to why Soseki-san has such a hunched back. Yeah, it sure do look like a stiff breeze could knock that down. London's blanketed in fog again today, and the sky is covered in cloud. But if you look carefully in the distance, you can just make out the Crystal Tower being built. The what? What are they building back there? When do we get the Alliance Raid? When do we get Naruhodo Alliance Raids? Oh, the Crystal Tower, yes. The centerpiece of the great exhibition that's to open in 6 months' time. Oh, okay, 6 months. Everyone's talking about the Great Exhibition of London at the moment, it seems. Well, it's to be the largest event of its kind anywhere in the world, with technology and scientists from all over. What was the command? I don't know if we ever had a darkness command. I've referenced the darkness command, but it was actually one that Vespa and Victoria had on their stream. I don't know if we've ever had a darkness command. Oh, it's just DRK. It's a Dark Knight. Can't wait for it myself. Do you think visiting students from the Far East like us will be granted entry?
Become what we must.
There you go. Do you think... Oh, I read that. The last great exhibition that was held in London had more than 6 million visitors, it seems. And this time, the British are determined to make it an even bigger success. To outdo the Paris Exposition. I see. That's an incredible number of people. And with so many people expected to attend, we should easily be able to slip in unnoticed. It's always the honest approach of buying tickets at the main entrance, Mr. Naruhodo. Psh, like we'd be able to afford tickets. Haven't they said that, like, since she left at the... I mean, I know this is taking place before she left, but, like, after she left, didn't he have, like, no cases for, like, months? Like, after the end of the game? Why has somebody built the snowman on some sort of pedestal, do you think? That's not a pedestal, Mr. Naruhodo. It's part of the snowman's body. Really? But it already has a perfectly good body. It's true that British snowmen are usually made with 2 balls of snow. Perhaps this is a foreigner. And now we're looking at him as if he's strange, poor man. I know how he feels. If anything, it's Japanese and British 2-ball snowmen that are the strange ones, isn't it? After all, real people do have 3 sections, head, torso, and legs. Do you ever think about that, perhaps? You think about things too much. No, I agree. It's the 3-ball man is the correct man. 1 ball too few, 2 ball too few, 3 ball just right. I think we got everything we can here. Girls from prison. Up we go. For some reason. 21st February, the Garib's room. Here we are again, the eccentric landlord's eccentric top floor abode. We're here because Mr. Garib's the one who discovered the incident this morning, don't forget. Ah, you chaps, eh? Yes, good morning, sir. Thank you for your cooperation in court yesterday. It was quite a trial. As much for Mr. Garib as anyone, really. Came straight back here after all that business at the Bailey yesterday. It's gotta taste so bad. Didn't expect to wake up to more Bailey nonsense this morning. I wonder, you wouldn't mind telling us exactly what happened to Mr. Gerb? Yes, I suppose you'd like to know all about that dead loss of an actor chap on the ground floor room. Those were exactly Inspector Gregson's words, weren't they? I thought he was just going to stare at us for a little longer. Obviously, first of all, Mr. Gerb, could I show you this? Been quite a couple of days, as you can imagine. I'm afraid I'm rather tired. Haven't really got the energy in the old eyeballs, to be honest with you. Some other time, then. Alright, well, gotcha. We should check over what we have, though. Customer, Mr. Natsume, sum of 2 shillings tendered in receipt of the picture of Monsieur Lecoq, a meal for Gario? Canterbury Yearnings. Street map. Yep. Bar of soap. Oh, what is it, Mr. Naruhodo? This bar of soap. When we first found it, I could have sworn there was some sort of round disc in this depression here. A reddish one. Yes, you're right. I remember it too. But now, the depression is completely empty. Where could the disc have gone? Huh. Details of the bar of soap and update on the court right there. I'm sure that's fine. I kind of assumed it was going to have some amount of lettering on the side. Whoever put this envelope didn't bother with a letter opener or scissors, did they? Yes, whoever opened it was clearly someone with an unrefined temperament. And judging from the angle of the rip here, the person in question must have been right-handed. Mr. Sato, I think perhaps someone's been reading too much of the Adventures of Sherlock Holmes. You can never read too much of it, Mr. Naruhodo. Never. Good to know. Good to know. Well, those sure are teacups. This must be the cup that Mr. Shamspeare was drinking from then. It's stained on the inside. Tea does that, I'm afraid. Even green tea. Oh, really? Never noticed before. You've never noticed? Well, I never leave it in the cup long enough to leave a mark. I like to gulp it down. Drink tea while it's hot. That's the Japanese way, isn't it? Oh dear, so many people seem to have the wrong idea about our culture, and most of them are Japanese. Ooh, wow, just swinging at them. This is the teacup from which Mr. Natsume was drinking. Yes, unlike the other one, the inside of the cup is completely clean. Suppose he must have drunk the contents before the tea had a chance to leave a mark. Now, if only we hadn't seen something of that exact color recently that also seemed to vanish and maybe only be there at certain really cold temperatures or something. I'm sure that's nothing to do with this case, though. Yeah, we scope it down, too. Sorry, Mr. Naruhodo. Well, if you just sip it little by little, it goes cold. Clearly, I shall have to instruct you in the proper way to take tea. Details of the pair of teacups have been updated. Cool. Hello, friend. Must have been a real shock for you this morning. I hear that you discovered what had happened. Ah, well, that hopeless actor chap races at 5 o'clock sharp every morning without fail. But at 5:30 this morning, he still hadn't lit the gas. Maybe he was broke. So I went down and knocked on his door, but no Bailey answer. That's when he broke into his room by kicking down the door. Well, I called on the rum-looking Japanese chap to do the grunt work, of course. Oh, so you didn't kick down the door. You woke up someone else and had them kick down the door. Wasn't it a little premature to kick the door down? The man could have just overslept by half an hour. It's very true, Mr. Naruhodo. If 30 minutes oversleeping warranted such behavior, I'd have to kick your door down every morning. Well, you know, better to be safe than sorry than all that. Is it just me, or is he avoiding our gaze now all of a sudden? Except that it was a sorry situation indeed that you found on the far side of the door. I mean, you know he's alive now, right? The victim's name is Mr. Shamspeare, I believe. Is that right? Yes, William Shamspeare. Took the ground floor room 3 months ago now. And how would you describe him? In a word, destitute. Ah. Destitute? Well, let's face it, the only redeeming feature of that room is the cheap rent. Anyone wanting to live in a place like that is either broke or has a bally screw loose. It's hard to choose which category Soseki-san would fall into. Mr. Naruhodo, that's a little rude. Again, he thought that! He was doing research as well. Research? Into what? Shakespeare, of course. Shakespeare. Read a few plays of the old bard myself, you know. Romeo and Hamlet and all that. Yes, William Shakespeare is England's most highly regarded classical playwright and author. He's known as Sao in Japanese, as you know, and many of his works have already been translated. It seems incredible that Shakespeare was shortened to Sao, though. Someone was too heavy-handed there. A lot of costumes in the victim's room, actually, weren't there? Of course Mr. Natsume is a scholar of English literature as well. I imagine he and Mr. Shakespeare would have had much in common. Shakespeare interpretation disagreement leads to shocking murder. Let's hope it's not that. Mr. Naruhodo, really? Again, we thought that! Fine. Everyone in this world is psychic. After Mr. Natsume's trial yesterday, you came straight back here, I believe, didn't you? Did you notice anything strange between then and this morning? Well now, it must have been about 6 in the evening by the time I got home. No one was coming down rather heavily, as I remember, and it was completely dark already. That failed actor chap was out at the time. Mr. Garib noticed there was no light from his room or something, I suppose. Couldn't summon the energy for anything much, so I just sat in front of the fire up here. Excuse me, it was after 8 before Shamspeare got back. And the chap was up past 1 in the morning, I'll have you know. Suppose he met his end sometime after that. I was asleep by then, so I'm rather in the dark here. Well, thank you. That was very illuminating. Is everything alright, Mr. Sato? Well, I was just thinking, it's a little strange, that's all. Mr. Garib, you were up here in your room all evening, if I've understood correctly. Not a big fan of stairs, not with this blasted leg. Then, how is it that you seem to know the precise movements of your tenants on the ground floor, I mean? That's a very good point. Can't imagine that you could hear noises from the ground floor all the way up here. Does this old man like to spy on his tenants? Is that it? I say, I know what you're thinking, and it's a bally outrage. I'm ex-military, don't you know? I mean, why would that stop you from spying on your tenants? I don't go around spying on my tenants, why would I? Curiosity? Boredom? You don't really have much to do up here besides sit around the fire. Then how did you know, Mr. Garib? It's the gas woman. The gas tells me everything. But the gas? Speaking gas. What on earth do you mean, sir? How can gas tell you anything, let alone everything? Well, as you're probably aware, the gas is supplied to the building by pipes. Yes, more or less work that out. Every room in the building is connected by a single pipe to the gas main outside. The gas company supplies gas to properties via the main. Yes, I understand that too. Let me see if I can explain. Let's say I was to light the gas lamps up here. What do you suppose would happen? Well, obviously the room would get brighter. Exactly, but at the same time, the lights in all the other rooms of the house would dim for a moment. What? They dim? Why? Perhaps it's because when you light a gas lamp, it briefly uses more gas than usual. That reduces the amount of gas in the pipes for the other lamps that are connected to it. That might explain why the other lamps dim momentarily, mightn't it? Yes, of course, because everything's connected to a single supply pipe. Is that supposed to happen, though? It sounds rather undesirable. Jolly good point. Fact is, the gas company's pipes in these parts are pretty hopeless, long worn out, and barely got any gas in them to start with. The opposite's also true, of course, extinguishing the lamps up here and they glow brighter in the rest of the house. Ah, right, I see. So by watching the flickering of the lamps in one room, you can determine what's happening elsewhere. Sure. You got it. Of course, because when people come back home in the evening and before they go to sleep at night, what they're guaranteed to do is either light or put out their lamps and fires. Clever. In point of fact, the room on the ground floor and the one above us use slightly different amounts of gas. By watching the lights in here closely, I can work out almost exactly what's going on in the whole house. Weird, but, you know. Sure. Gosh, that's fascinating, Mr. Garrett. Absolutely fascinating. Oh well, nothing to it really. Can't really see that I can't really see that it's going to help us with the case either. What I'd like to know is why Mr. Garrett is so interested in what his tenants are up to in the first place. I feel like there's more to it than idle curiosity. Yeah, probably. Well, we've done as much investigating here as we can, I think. Perhaps we ought to go to the prison and speak with Mr. Natsume again. Good idea. Alright, bye. Poor Mr. Natsume. Had one night of freedom. Ooh. 21st February, local prison cell number 9. Look, Mr. Naruhodo. Mr. Natsume, have the police finished questioning you now? Look, I'm student Mr. Naruhodo Esquire. Oh, yes? What is he? Tell me! Is he a ghost? Is he here to haunt me? Let me guess. You're talking about Mr. Sholmes. He actually calls himself a great detective, Mr. Natsume, not a ghost. But his diabolical deductions, they're not of his world. They've left me. Ah, cursed! I'm cursed, I tell you! Well, that sort of hurts. Credit where credit is due, Mr. Naruhodo. You were heavily involved in the deduction, too. Yes, moving on. We have some wonderful news. Oh. Damn, those tears stopped quick. The victim that we all thought was dead has come back to life again. Now, in the absolute worst case, you could only be tried for attempted murder. That's great, isn't it, Mr. Natsume? It's terrible! Oh? I'm stuck in this cell, suffering for some silly, wrong end of the stick. Yeah. You did it, didn't you? Confess, you're a killer. Why the mustache? Constant questions! Sorry to hear that. Ah, selfish shyster! Make up your mind. Are you dead or alive? If you were going to come back to life, why bother dying? If you were going to come back to life, why bother dying? Wickedly wishy-washy William! Well, it seems like Mr. Shamspeare was never actually dead in the first place. Ah yes, that might make sense, and I'm pleased that he's alive, of course. Lively debate last night was much fun. It's sad to think it was our last. Oh? Oops. Mr. Natsume, does this mean that you did see the victim last night? You met with Mr. Shamspeare, didn't you? I'm not saying another word. I demand to have a lawyer present. Who do you think I am? Please, Mr. Natsume, we need to hear your side of the story. Why am I cursed like this? Could you tell us exactly what happened last night then, Mr. Natsume? There's nothing to tell! But, Mr. Naruhodo Esquire, I'm eternally grateful to you for helping me with that accursed case yesterday. A case that saw poor Miss Green hospitalized after she ended up with a knife in her back. It's hard to believe that was only yesterday. Yeah, it feels like a game or so ago. After the trial was over, I trudged my weary way back to my lowly lodgings, and that evening at past 9, it must have been, I visited Mr. Shamspeare. So, you did go to the victim's room then? As we feared. I didn't do anything wrong! I'd never been to his room before. It was the first time! Then, what made you decide to go? Bumped into him on our ride back at the house. We got chatting and it developed into a discussion. But he had to go out, so I bade him farewell. That ties in with what Mr. Garrett said, that the victim went out and came back after 8. We met again later that evening at around 9 or just after, when I took him some nice tea I'd brewed as a gift. So it's you who brought the tea that had clearly been drunk at the scene then. I suppose you were discussing the works of Shakespeare, were you? Yes, that's right. That's exactly right. Romeo and Juliet! Who was the stronger? Who was the stronger? It was a delightful debate. So, such a stimulating subject, Shakespeare! So what you're saying is we need a death battle between Romeo and Juliet to see who's stronger. Got it. And the debate became very heated, so he slipped poison into Mr. Shamspeare's tea. No, never! Not at all! Team Juliet won! That was me when I left his room. The flamboyant fellow was fighting fit, I swear it categorically. Well, what about your cursed existence? Mr. Natsume, you often say the same thing about yourself, I've noticed. That you have a cursed existence. Sure, I've mentioned this to you before, but I've been here in Great Britain for a year now. In that time, I've learned that it's no place for me. It can be very trying to live in a foreign land and adopt to the ways of another culture. There are foreigners everywhere I look. They all stare at me. They all laugh. It's the impression I get whenever I go out. It makes me scared to leave my room. Which is why I've become a recluse. But even in my room, I find no respite from my fears. I've moved more times than I can remember, and then 1 week ago, I moved into Briar Road. But why? I mean, why did you choose that place? It doesn't seem very comfortable. Because the rent is cheap. I have so little money, it spoke to me. The rent. Obviously, there's a reason why it's cheap. Because the room is cursed. Cursed? Cursed how? Previous occupant, the man who lived there before I took the room. Died there. Oh no. He was only a young man, but one morning he was found dead and no one could explain why. Surely no one would want to live in a room with a history of it like that. I didn't. When the letting agent recommended the place, I wavered. But I want books, and books cost money. A horrible history is a small price to pay. When I realized it was me and I could buy more books, I signed the lease like lightning. Wave or blinkered. But after I moved in, I soon came to realize what I'd done. I realized how horrible that room's history really was. Gosh, was it really so awful? How did the room's horrible history affect you, Mr. Natsume? What happened? At first, it was just a feeling. Feeling of beady eyes boring on my back, watching me. Do you think that might have just been your mind playing tricks on you? No. My mind doesn't know any tricks. It was somebody else. My mind doesn't know any tricks. Got it? It's been one long nightmare ever since I was given the keys to the place. Nightmare? I've been having bad dreams, you mean? All the souls who've died in that room lean over me in my sleep and try to strangle me. That really is horrible. And now that I come to think of it, it happened again last night too. The very same night that Mr. Shakespeare was writhing in agony from the poison in his body. I was on the verge of being suffocated silently by those miserable spirits in my room. You simply must move out of that room as soon as possible. Yes, you're right, I know it. That's why I'm already searching for the next room we'll make it to call home. Or the answer to call home. Also, Eric, how's it going? Welcome to Viper Language Chat. How you doing?
Fishy!
Good luck with your fishing. I think perhaps you should try to avoid accommodations with any kind of history at all. You know what? Speaking of blanket, I was thinking of blanket because I'm a little chilly, and so you know what? Screw it. Ah, perfect. Power of warm blanket. Just make sure my headphone cable doesn't get caught. There you go. Why is Viper going for to get a blanket? See, it's all soft and blankety. We too stinky? I mean, you know, you all smell like fish and garbage, but that's because you keep going into my trash lake. But you know, hey, as long as you keep paying me to go in, like you can keep going. But it's just fishy and garbage, so I don't know what you're expecting from that. Otherwise, I'm scared that you yourself may become history. Ooh, Susato-san knows how to make a man listen. Perfect. Of course. Still, Lord of the Manor is worried about the curse on my room as well. Yeah, is he? You mean Mr. Garrett? Yes, he knows that if people keep dying there, he'll never be able to rent it out again. Oh, yeah, I guess he'd care about that. 56 out. It's hovering just over freezing here. But, like, since my room is kind of an addition to the house, and is quite soundproof to the inside of the house, to the rest of the house, it gets chilly out here. And, like, right now I have my computer. I don't think the lights make much heat, but computer and PS5 do. Maybe not playing this game, the PS5 doesn't, but in general. Well, that's true. I for one, wouldn't go near the place. How's my headphone cable? Go that way. Go that way. Go that way. Good enough. Ah, perhaps. That may explain why the landlord pays so much attention to the gas lamps in his tenants' movements. You mean because he's worried about their well-being? He does seem to have an unusually keen interest in the amount of gas in the pipes. There must be a reason why he keeps such close tabs on the occupants of his let rooms. What do you mean, he pays so much attention to the gas lamps? Oh dear, no, it's nothing to do with you, Mr. Natsume. Please forget I said anything. You'd think the PC would be a radiator all on its own, and it's still chilly, so... Oh, now you're talking about me behind my back as well. What's important is that Mr. Shamspeare isn't, in fact, dead at all. Once he's come around and is able to tell us what happened, we'll be able to get you released. Yes, please. Oh, I do hope you're right. I'm sure it'll be that easy, right? Excuse me. Inspector Gregson! Yeah. See, I was playing that on PS5. For good reason. It is quite a bit bigger, too. Yeah. It's bigger, it's got a lot more window space, and I'm way over on this side of the room, in the corner of the room, so there's a whole lot of other room for the heat to dissipate to. Couldn't help overhearing what you just said, and on that note, I have some good news and some bad news. Oh, which do you want first? Always, every time, the bad news comes first. When hope is all you have, hold on to it. Oh, it's hot already? Makes sense. I've also heard that a decent gaming PC is as good as a space heater in terms of just making and generating heat. I don't know if it's true or not. Also, did my hair get poofed up a little bit? Yeah, it did. Yeah, whatever. Screw it, who cares? Alright, well, in that case, the good news it is. Huh? Sorry, but it's just a lot easier to explain everything that way. Then why did you ask? Then why did you ask me my preference? As you might have heard, the victim, Mr. Shamspeare, was just unconscious. He's come round now. Yes, we saw it happen in all its terrifying glory. He's still being treated by the doctors, but we managed to get a written statement from him already. Oh, isn't that wonderful, Mr. Natsume? Oh, thank goodness. It's all over then. I can leave this somber cell. Sorry, no, it's not in the cards. What? Why ever not, Inspector? Mr. Shamspeare has implicated someone as being responsible for what happened last night. Implicated someone? Oh dear! You don't mean... Sorry to say, I do. Yes, he's pointed the finger to you, Mr. Natsume. Ah! By sweet poison did he seeketh to end my life. That wicked caitiff, Soseki Natsume. No! So I'm afraid you'll be appearing in court as planned. You'll be wanting to make the necessary preparations. Like shaking for hours on end. It's a necessary preparation. No! I don't know if you can be hotter than a space heater, because I believe space heaters are 100% efficient in turning electricity into heat. So I don't know if you can be better. That said, maybe the computer runs at a higher wattage than the space heater, but I hope not. So, once again, Soseki-san found himself having to take the dock in the Old Bailey. Whether his room was haunted, or whether he was just terribly unlucky, I knew I had no choice. The following day, I would represent him in court and do my utmost to... Oops. Do my utmost to black screen, obviously. Probably, yeah. Alright, save it up. February, 9:23 a.m. The Old Bailey. Defendant's antechamber. Old Bailey. This place always makes me feel strange. I seem to get chills down my spine and break out in a nervous sweat all at the same time. Well, I didn't think I'd be back here so soon. That's my line! Good morning! Good morning, Mr. Natsume. It's only 2 days ago that I was declared not guilty here. Yes, we somehow managed to prove he didn't stab Miss Green in the back. But now this... Another morning, another murder, and here I am again in this hellhole. Can't keep coming to court! Beginning to think he's right. It does seem as though he's cursed. Mr. Naruhodo, I'm afraid I have bad news. Uh-oh. Mr. Natsume, good morning. Yes, morning. So, here we are again. Yes, again. Judicial Assistant Miss Migotoba Esquires, what's the bad news? Oh dear. You have heard, did you? Becoming shouting at the top of your voice, people can't help hearing what you say. Oh, I'm sorry. You've done nothing wrong, Mr. Sato. Now what is it? Well, it seems that the prosecution in today's trial will be led by Lord Baron Von Zieks. Von Zieks? Gah! Oh no, oh no, no. The so-called Reaper of the Bailey, the most legendary prosecutor in the land. In the trial 2 days ago, he pursued Soseki-san and I relentlessly. Of course, by the skin of our teeth, we managed to pull through, but still. Perhaps Mr. Natsume's acquittal in the first trial wasn't the end of the matter after all. Yes, I know what you're thinking. The Legend of the Reaper, that says. Nothing can save a person on the dock when Lord Van Zieks is the prosecutor. Oh no! But even if that person is found not guilty, the accused will meet a mysterious end one way or another. And we've experienced it firsthand. The man we successfully defended met the most terrifying end after his acquittal, right here in the Old Bailey. Do I have to put up these ice cold eyes boring into my soul again? Alright, now I'm realizing, I guess it really wasn't my shoulders. I think it's just my lap's cold. Let's just move this. I'll get this right eventually, I swear. Or I won't, and we'll just keep moving the blanket. Whatever. Ooh, cursed by evil spirits, and now by the Reaper! I mean, that sucks, bro. Sometimes you just gotta deal with evil spirits and the Reaper, you know. But nobody expects to have to deal with the Reaper like 2 days in a row. Like, twice a week is a lot. Most people only ever have to deal with the Reaper once. This is an unlucky chap. Pair of petrifying barrels, potentially! Well, if it's potentially, at least you appear to have hope, Mr. Natsume. Welcome, student Mr. Naruhodo Esquire. Ah, yes? I'm innocent! You have to believe me! You more than anyone now. Don't worry. I'll be a steadfast ally every step of the way in this battle. I promise. This promises to be a hard battle, I fear. Well, trial is scheduled to begin shortly. We should move into the courtroom. Let's go. Oh yes, I forgot to say. I'm afraid he won't be able to make it. Mr. Sholmes, I mean. It's probably for the best. Oh? If you were here, I might be tempted to rely on his help. That could be seen as a weakness. If Lord Van Zeeks were to notice, he'd prey on it mercilessly. At least, that's my gut feeling. Mr. Naruhodo. You're right. Yes, you're so right. Oh, well said, locum student Mr. Naruhodo Esquire. Well said. I mean, we haven't seen another prosecutor in London, but at the same time, he's admitted to actively seeking out cases that we're working on and not taking other cases. Excuse me. I swear on this sword at my side, on the spirit of Kazuma that it harbors. I'll show him what a Japanese lawyer can do. I'll set you free, with honor. Oh, yes. For the 2nd of February, 90 of the 40 a.m., the Old Bailey of the courtroom. In the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby declare this court to be in session. I now call upon the counsels for the prosecution and defense to declare their willingness to proceed. Does he ever actually leave the Bailey, or does he just sleep there like that? Does he just stand there until he's once again summoned? The prosecution is ready. The defense is ready, my lord. Readiness for the trial, my learned Nipponese friend, is not what the defense need. What you need is a readiness for your inevitable defeat. Ah, yeah, this was before we beat him like 19 times consecutively. Yeah, sometimes he's upside down. Yeah, exactly. He lives here. It's not just in my imagination. It's really there. He's really racist. Lord Van Zeeks has such an animosity towards us Japanese for some reason. Some time ago now that he first became known as the Reaper of the Bailey, I believe. Past few years, he hasn't appeared in court at all. He got locked in the attic, that's why. Yet now he's back in the courtroom, though for some reason, only when I'm defending. This Reaper, with his curious disdain for us Japanese, is a prosecutor shrouded in mystery. Yeah, but he ain't getting it. Well, he's getting the run back, but he just keeps having to run back. Still, this isn't the time to be pondering that. I have to concentrate on Soseki-san's trial. Furthermore, I now call upon the 6 ladies and gentlemen of the jury. You've been chosen at random, sure, to represent the will of the people in this trial. Are you ready to fulfill your duty? Absolutely. I have a feeling this Larkin was innocent before. I must say that I feel especially ruthless on days when my hat refuses to sit right. Who vetted these jurors? I don't know. Cool. Let's get that band up. Oop. There we go. Oh, you got him first. Well, whatever. I was slow to it. I must say that I feel oh, I read that. Man, I already hate these jurors. Even when you're too slow, you're still faster. Yeah. Oh, well, I rather like how you're wearing your hat. I think the ruthless look is very fetching, actually. I need to be somewhere at 10 o'clock. I have a very important meeting. Let's make this quick. Ugh, jurors in a hurry just are the worst. Couldn't agree more. I need to take home 5 bob tonight or the missus will go through the roof.
Oh, may the Lord show us all the light here, and lead his flock to a righteous verdict.
The British jury system is so very different to our own, isn't it? It's quite extraordinary to think that the power of judgment is in the hands of 6 members of the public, and that the judge can only pass sentences when all jurors are in agreement about the defendant's guilt. Six citizens of London chosen at random, or at least that's the idea. The prosecution will draw attention to the fact that the accused was on trial here but 2 days ago. Accordingly, where possible, the same jurors have been asked to return for duty today. Okay. Very well, let's commence with the trial. Lord Renziques, your opening statement, please. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, it is not the intent of the prosecution to cast doubt over your past decision. However, the innocent verdict afforded to this eccentric Nipponese before has had dire consequences. Did the accused repent for his wrongdoings in that affair? Far from it. Instead, he used his freedom to perpetuate a most blood-curdling crime. Namely, that of the attempted murder of his neighboring lodger, an innocent Englishman. To explain the circumstances of the crime, the prosecution calls its first witness to the stand. The detective responsible for investigating the scene, and the accused himself. Witnesses, your name and occupations, please. Yes, sir. Tobias Gregson, Detective Inspector at Scotland Yard's Homicide Division. Ah, Soseki Natsumi from the Empire of Japan. My government ordered me to come here as a student to study your language and culture. Mr. Natsumi. Yes, my lord. Sir! Quite sure I'm not mistaken, that you swore an oath never to set foot in my courtroom again. I remember it as if it were yesterday. The day before, in fact, my lord, but close enough. Ah, believe me, this is the last place I want to be. Inspector, let's hear from you first. Explain the case for the court. Right you are, sir. The incident occurred at the Garib household, where the defendant has lodgings. In the ground floor room of the victim, Mr. William Shamspeare. The defendant has already admitted to visiting the victim on the night in question. Mr. Shamspeare collapsed in his room as a result of poisoning by strychnine. He was found the following morning where the landlord, suspecting something was wrong, broke down the door. This means, I presume, that the door to the victim's room was locked at the time of the incident. Correct, my lord. It was locked from the inside, making entry to or exit from the room impossible. Although the victim, Mr. Shamspeare, lives to tell the tale. He very nearly didn't. The man was halfway to heaven when we first found him. That was the first officer on the scene, my lord. I have a photographic print here that I took at the time to show how it looked. Yes, a chilling scene indeed. The man looks very much deceased. That's right. Everyone present believed that's exactly what he was. Very well. Very well. I shall accept this photographic print as evidence for the court. Photograph. Now then, Mr. Natsume. Yes! As the defendant, do you have anything to say at this juncture? They're haunted. Haunted by evil spirits. Good gracious, what's haunted? My lodgings. There's been a whole series of strange happenings in my lodgings. The tenant before me died in mysterious circumstances. Stop yawning. A woman was stabbed by by no one on the street outside. Yeah, that's true. I still think the tenant before him dying of mysterious circumstances was just gaslighting with no windows, but whatever. And if it was poison in me, what about me? I've nearly been killed countless times. Killed, Mr. Natsume? How? Even on that fateful night, it happened when I returned from Mr. Shamspeare's room. I lit my gas stove and climbed into bed before long. The stove went out, and somebody tried to kill me. You must always extinguish all fires before retiring for the night, Mr. Natsume. But it's so cold. My runny nose would freeze. Point is, I didn't poison my neighbor. Oh, why am I being accused of this? This is why my existence was so cursed. Thank you, witness. I believe I have a reasonably clear picture of events. If I could raise one more point, my lord. One more conclusive... You can't have a conclusive point before we've even done any part of the case. Conclusive? Go on. Fortunately, the victim, Mr. Shamspeare, has regained consciousness after his ordeal, and he has named the true culprit. The poison consumed by the victim was administered in a cup of tea that he drank the night in question. Tea, my lord, that was brought to the victim's room by the accused. The accused? Good God! Order! Order! Yes, that's the crux of this whole case. If Soseki-san is innocent, then why? Why has the victim accused him? A conclusive statement? What do you got? Well, Mr. Natsume, what have you to say on this occasion? Not a good lawyer. Ooh. I don't know. I have several completed Phoenix Wright games under my belt that prove you wrong. That evening, yes, I did take some freshly brewed tea with me when I visited Mr. Shamspeare's room as a gift. The public water pump outside always freezes at night, so I bought bottled water especially to make it. And this is the result. Never will I touch tea again. Never! The public pump was frozen, you say? It's not information we've heard before. That will do, thank you. Now, according to our laws, this was the defense must have the opportunity to cross-examine witnesses at least once. Therefore, I call upon these witnesses now for formal testimony. I assume the prosecution has no objection. None whatsoever, my lord. Still looking at how he beat this game. Most of them was fine. Totally fine. Good, then we will give your account of events on the right night in question to the court now. Yes, my lord. Nah, it's broomstick. Catastrophic night.
This
Ah, yep, there you
is
go.
my boomstick!
So around 9 o'clock that evening, when I visited my neighbor and I took some tea with me as a gift. We had a heated literary debate over a nice hot drink, after which I went back to my room at around 11. Ah, my tea was completely harmless. He couldn't have locked the door behind me otherwise, could he? From how Viper finishes cases, no. We always get him perfectly right every time. Strychnine takes some time to have an effect on the body. People don't kill over immediately after taking it. The victim would have been perfectly able to lock the door after his guest left. The argument still stands. Yes, I see. It all seems relatively straightforward. Excuse me, but that testimony does raise one other crucial point, I think. Mr. Nutsman claims his tea to have been harmless, presumably though. The teacups have been examined for traces of the poison, haven't they? Why didn't I think of that? Well, as it happens, no, we haven't been able to. Did I hear you correctly, Inspector? Scotland Yard has failed to examine the suspect substance? How could you have overlooked something so important? Is that the first thing you should have done? I mean, probably, yeah. My learned Newtonese friend is falsely incensed. The inspector said Scotland Yard was unable to examine the tea, not that it was overlooked. Unable? Why? Simple enough. There was none left. Not a drop. Someone must have been very thirsty indeed. With current scientific techniques, it's not possible to test for poison under such circumstances. We only need a drop, but that one drop does actually have to exist, funnily enough. The lack of examination notwithstanding, it appears nothing other than the tea passed the victim's lips on the night in question. I see, thank you. The matter is clear. Cast your eyes over the jury, my learned friend. What? You can see it in their faces, I'm sure. The recognition of the accused's guilt. Your client's fate is all but sealed. In mere moments from now, you will lose and your compatriot will be damned for all eternity. Damn. Couldn't go a little easy on us or something? Nah, that friend of yours from your country, damned for at least like a millennia or so, you know. It's fine. It's fine. He's right. I can feel all 6 of the jurors looking daggers at me. The lip quiver is back. But I can't let them beat me down. I won't. Counsel for the defense, proceed with your cross-examination. I guess so. He'll get thrown back one time super hard and just, you know, get chained there. That's it. Yes, my lord.
Hold it!
Were you and your neighbor good friends then? No! We weren't friends. Not at all. Not at all. Never. Ever. Simple no would have sufficed. Then, why did you decide to pay him a visit? Mr. Shamspeare refers himself as having great literary knowledge. As a fellow scholar of English literature, we find much to talk about together. Come now, no Nipponese could understand the finer points of English literature. Wow, dude! Okay, and on the night in question, that was the topic of conversation as well, I presume. It was the day of my last trial when I was acquitted. I just arrived back at my lodgings when I ran into Mr. Shamspeare outside of the street. That was at around 6 o'clock. We exchanged one or two pleasantries, but it soon turned into a heated discussion. He was on his way out at the time, though. So I promised to visit his room that evening at 9 and to continue our debate. But did I have any ill intentions? No, not one, not two, not any. Not at all. Never, ever. Simple no would have sufficed, I feel. Then tell the court what did happen when you visited the victim's room.
Hold it!
Literary debate about Shakespeare's works, I think you said, didn't you? Shakespeare, a very worthy topic of conversation, I must say. Oh, yes, my lord. Romeo and Juliet, who was stronger? It was a profoundly pleasurable parley. Romeo and Juliet? Who was stronger? I know I'm going to regret asking this, but how did the debate go? Oh, we both agreed that we'd reach a conclusion more quickly with a reenactment. So we battled it out in a Greco-Roman style naturally. What? Mr. Shamspeare had all sorts of costumes in his room for just such a contest. So when you say a reenactment, you mean you were actually in costume? He is Romeo, I is Juliet, and after a vigorous, wild tussle, I, as Juliet, came out on top. A victory I'll cherish forever. So each of you dressed as either Romeo or Juliet, and then you had a lengthy tussle together? Okay. Dare not imagine the terrible scene of carnage. The fact remains that it was you who prepared the tea and took it to the victim, correct? I boiled the water in my room and made a pot to take with me. I'd heard that he was too poor to have tea himself, you see. It's true, there was no sign of any tea leaves in the man's room. I wanted to do something nice, to be friendly. So why is everyone looking at me with such suspicion? My tea was harmless, of course it was. And do you have any basis for that statement, witness? I mean, I'll keep hitting it, even though probably... Yes, there's not a drop of tea left in the victim's room anywhere, was there? That's correct. Anyone would think the fellow had never had a pot of tea before. He must have licked it dry. Which is a pity, because one drop is all we would have needed to analyze it for poison. And you say that you returned home to your room at 11:09? Sure, not sorry. Yes, definitely. By heaven and earth, I swear it. The landlord was able to verify that as it happens. He confirmed that the defendant went back to his room at 11 that night. And how is the landlord able to attest to this? He, said it was the lamps, I believe. The lamps, Inspector? Tenants return to their rooms and start using gas. The lamps in other parts of the house flicker. Yes, Mr. Garrett seemed to pay a lot of attention to the comings and goings of his tenants. There's only one key to Mr. Shamspeare's room. I know that for certain. So he must have locked the door himself from inside his room. The victim has confirmed that to be the case, yes. So I'm right, my tea was harmless, completely harmless. You take poison, you die. Everyone knows that. It's not that simple, I'm afraid. What do you mean? If I remember, I think I know a good song to start next week's stream with. How long does it take for symptoms to appear then? According to the coroner I was speaking to at the yard, about 30 minutes after the poison's consumed. Okay. Then the victim suffers violent convulsions, cramping, stiffness, and eventually dies from asphyxiation. But he didn't. So, yes, if he was poisoned with strychnine, that's what would happen. But since that didn't happen, then strychnine takes time to take effect. It doesn't matter, because he's alive. He didn't die. Whatever, it's fine. So it's a 30-minute interval between the person ingests and the onset of symptoms. Seems to be a lot of different types of poison in the world, that's for sure. There sure seems to be. Oh dear, death by poisoning again. It's always so awful. 30 minutes is a long time. Certainly long enough for the victim to have locked the door behind the accused after he left. Can't deny that. And it further degrades Soseki-san's alibi. And the medical report from the doctor who examined the victim he overlooked. He spells it out, really. The accused is the only person who could have done it. Very well, the court will add this report to the court record as evidence. Victim's medical report has been entered into the court record. Oh yes, I see it here. Delayed onset of symptoms. Yeah, I imagine poison's an easy way to get that done. The argument still stands, you say. This is what Mr. Natsume has been saying, isn't it? Pair of them drank tea together that night, so if these were poisoned, the victim wouldn't have been able to lock the door after the accused left later on. Fine. Rat poison was a favorite for years. Yeah, I... no. Thankfully plan on avoiding poison throughout much of my life. Exactly! Me and my tea are innocent, sweet and innocent, I tell you. Afraid, sir, that doesn't follow. You see, strychnine is a slow-acting poison. In other words, it takes time for symptoms to appear. Yeah, I know. So you could have left the room up to 30 minutes after the victim drank the tea. Yeah, if he died of strychnine poisoning, but he's alive with what you can't tell me. As long as he did that, Mr. Shamspeare could have locked the door after you'd gone. I mean... oops. But no, we drank the tea straight away. The battle over whether Romeo or Juliet was stronger. That came after the tea. Do you have any evidence to support that statement? Do you have any evidence to dispute it? My great homeland, the Empire of Japan. They have a saying. Drink tea while it's hot. Sure, a proverb that will satisfy the prosecution. Here there's no conclusive proof to support the defendant's assertion. On the contrary, there is sufficient grounds to infer his guilt in this matter. I mean... I don't know. I guess the finger pointing at him is literally Shamspeare's finger, and he made the tea. But if analysis said, I don't know. No. That's the extent of their testimony, is it? I could voice a personal opinion, Mr. Naruhodo. Of course, go ahead. Mr. Natsume is arguing for his innocence so adamantly and so persistently. Yet, Inspector Gregson just brushes what he says aside. It's really quite infuriating. I agree. So we need to find an inconsistency in what the inspector is saying, I think. I'm afraid so. As things stand, the jurors are sure to find Mr. Natsume guilty. As I see it, what we need to focus on is the poison in the tea. Let's listen carefully to this testimony again. Yes. We didn't actually check this, did we? Cause of coma. Ingestion of small quantity of strychnine. Toxic effects present 30 minutes after ingestion. High likelihood of the substance having been mixed with tea the victim was drinking, but no sample could be obtained for testing. The poisoning incident occurred at 11:30 a.m. on the 25th of February. Assessed on the victim's pocket watch, they appears to have been broken when the man collapsed and after the delayed onset of symptoms. Of course. Yeah. No container for the poison was found at the scene. That shouldn't help or hinder us, really. In the neighborhood. So there's nothing we can have that'll really disprove that. Had a heated liquor debate over a nice hot drink. I don't think we can disprove that. He was completely harmless. He have shut the door behind you, otherwise he couldn't have locked the door behind me otherwise, could he? Oh no, if it was a small amount he could have. It takes time to take effect. We don't go over immediately. Oh, because it's the same thing. So, testimony, argument of innocence, inspector pushed to the side. The inspector's saying. Okay. sometime after having a pent up body. I really don't know what. Like, clearly we're supposed to do something with his statement. One of the two. Either take some time, or would have been perfectly able to lock the door after his guts left. We have no knowledge about the soap right now. Yeah. And I don't think that's something we can present currently. I think that's going to be later in the trial. We checked these already. One has a ring, but I don't know if that's gonna help right now. The piece of envelope doesn't seem like it's gonna help right now. No, I didn't mean to go forward again. Bah, 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 bah. Yep, we read this. Yep.
Hold it!
No. I meant to hit square. Focus on this. The poison, the tea, and Gregson. Well, I'm doing great so far, right? At least I haven't lost any HP. Poisoning incident occurred around 1:30 a.m. on 21st February. Okay. So I feel like we can definitely get some of these out of here. Obviously armband, right? The obvious one, armband. Not helpful. Cool. Secondhand book report. Pretty sure that one's not helpful. I also don't really know how that got them to talking about Romeo and Juliet in a power scaling method, but whatever. Street map, also out. Cool. Soap. It's clearly related to this case, but I don't know if this is going to be one of those, like, I don't think we show it here. Turn off head into the envelope, I can pretty safely say it's not here. Not yet. Teacups, you know, maybe. I don't think that helps us, though. I do not see a way that helps us. Photographic print scene taken. I don't think the print would help either, because, I mean, yeah, sure, it looks like he passed out right there, but the whole, it would take a half hour. I don't think that's going to help our case. 30 minutes after ingestion, high liquid substance is to the victim. Drinking this up will be taken for testing. Most things to occur at 11:30 a.m. No. To which I went back to my room at around 11. But we were told to focus on Gregson. We were told explicitly to focus on Gregson, weren't we? I'm gonna get it wrong. No. My gut is telling me to show it there. It's gotta be this here.
Objection!
It's gotta be. Okay. The argument still stands, you say? I think not, Inspector. Come again. I'm sorry. Come again. I think you'll find that you've overlooked a very significant chronological inconsistency here. The chrono. What are you on about? Oh, hold on, I got my papers. There we go. Came prepared. According to this report, the victim must have consumed the poison at around 1:30 in the morning. And yet, the defendant, Mr. Natsume, left the victim's room at 11. He's got a great, like, frozen caught in a lie face. Oh, not a lie, but, inconsistency. Yes, that's right. There's more than 2 hours of missing time there. In other words, if there was poison in the tea that Mr. Natsume brought to the victim's room, how could the victim have fallen ill to it 2.5 full hours after the defendant left? Why did they both freak out? The defense's argument is entirely reasonable. How do you respond, Lord Benzies? Wastefully, he responds. Pray forgive the discourtesy if my mind has wandered. I was considering what cuisine would best complement the contents of my hollow chalice this luncheon. So you weren't even paying attention to the case? How could it have happened, you asked? I do hate to shatter illusions, but my Nipponese friend appears to be chasing a phantom idea. A phantom? Is it so hard to imagine that the victim drank his tea after the accused had left? For example, at the time stated in the medical report. Yes, at around 1:30. Mr. Natsume brought the tea with him to drink together with his neighbor. And in Japan, there is a well-known saying, drink tea while it's hot.
Objection!
Objection!
Two very different objections right there. And in my country, there's an even more apt saying. There is nothing more refreshing than cold tea. But the point is, if there was such a long gap, there may be other ways to explain how the victim came to be poisoned. Other possibilities.
Objection!
What sort of possibilities, Counsel? I mean, hypothetically. Well, for example, the man could have had another visitor. Another visitor? That's a very bold assertion, my learned friend. from someone who has nothing to substantiate it. Or the victim could have taken the poison of his own volition. You suggest this may have been a suicide, counsel?
Objection!
Mr. Shamspeare had categorically denied suicide. The idea can and must be discounted.
Objection!
But he could be lying. Something wrong, Lord Van Zieks. I was listening to the sound of the carriage pulling up outside the courtroom. May you forgive the discourtesy. Carriage? What carriage? It would seem that the key player in this case has just arrived. Oh, this is gonna be something, ain't it? Out, brief candle. Life's but a walking shadow. A poor player that struts and frets his hour upon the stage and then is heard no more. You know, he's doing pretty damn well for somebody who was poisoned last night. It's a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing. Man, he really sums himself up nicely here, doesn't he? Really, really good. Who, sir, are you? William Shamspeare, my lord. Alas, was I undone by those bitter events. I am the victim. And you're alive, and you're doing fine, and I really just don't understand why we're even in this courtroom. What's he doing here? I love nervous Natsume. The prosecution seeks to call this gentleman to the stand. With his testimony, my learned friend's futile resistance will be utterly crushed. You're calling him as a witness. Very well, counsel. I grant your request with interest. I'm curious to discover what the court shall hear from the victim himself. Why does he have a staff? Who let him have a staff and all these jewels? Happy am I, Shamspeare, to regale thee with my tale of woe, my lord. But I still have my own tale to tell, my own tale of worse woe. I can regale the court with the tale of my perfect innocence in perfect English. That will do, Mr. Natsume. Let the court now hear from the victim. Alright. Look at his just idle stand. Oh, alright. So that's Mr. Shamspeare. Who's the other man besides him? Yes, I feel sure that we've caught a glimpse of that man before. State your names and occupations for the court, please, witnesses. I can't believe that's his idol, just... I mean, that's how I stand around. A writer of words so sweet they do scent the breeze, an inventor of ideas so profound they compose the earth. The unrivaled poet, the unmatched scribe, William Shakespeare. Were the great bard to be recalled to life anew, lo, what a magnificent man. Good fellows, I am he who ponders such a miracle. William Shamspeare. Name's Meterman. Adrian B. Meterman. He's definitely got the B covered. He's a drone B and a Meterman, yes.
Not the beast!
I work for the Alamet Gas Company, East End branch office. Ah, I remember now. It was yesterday on Briar Road. Oh yes, she's right, it's him. It's just it's the yellow and it's the bag stripes that just make me think B. What's that? Yes, we spotted him outside Mr. Gerb's house that morning. And he's a gas company employee. What does he have to do with the case? So, Mr. William Shamspeare, you are the victim in this miserable affair, correct? Oh heaven, oh hell, do you command me to remember that sweet poison that didst cross me and cross mine innocent lips? I subpoenaed him for the trial, with his doctor's permission, naturally. Yeah, I'm sure after you threatened to break his kneecaps, the doctor was like, yep, take him, have him, cool, fine, whatever. Hearing the testimony of the aggrieved will remove any room for doubt from the jurors' minds, I'm sure. But he's alive and doing fine. Why are we in court? Behold, you have only to rearrange the letters of my name to see that mess a seraph, an angel indeed. Thus be I noble of mind, sweet of nature, and verily honest of heart, as all heavenly angels be. Because there isn't a less contrived meaning in your name. Nope, not at all. The jurors seem to be very moved by this man, I'm afraid. They're actually taking this seraph anagram idea seriously? One person, that's true. It's somehow Sholmes' fault. Thank you, witnesses, for your illuminating introductions. But, my lord, what's the man next to Mr. Shamspeare doing here? The gas man, I mean. Dude, what, me? Well, now. Allow me to enlighten my learned friend. You recall, I presume, your earlier impertinence, when he suggested that the victim had another visitor to his room on the night in question, and moreover that the victim is a compulsive liar. What? No, I didn't quite say that. This young chin-stroker is here to controvert your wild claims conclusively. Is that not so, Mr. Meterman? Hang on, no, I'm just here. I want to hear why he's here. He was about to say why he's... You're just gonna... then why... Alright, T.
Fishing.
Good luck fishing. Hope you catch something tasty. I hereby call for your formal testimonies. You tell the court as lucidly as possible what happened on the night in question. One may smile and be a villain. Yes, it doth pain me, but let the truth be spoken, the truth of that wintry night of my discontent. Oh. Yeah, true. They're, I mean, they're worth money. I can't set any rarity other than the value is a vague rarity thing for that. So, like, higher value things are inherently rarer, whereas lower value things are inherently less rare. But it's all RNG at the end of the day. The wintry night of my discontent. The snow lay about, my neighbour did cometh in the evening, bearing a gift of tea. But merry bitter was his drink, and when he left, I did fall prostrate on my table. 'Twas the tea alone did pass my lips that late hour, naught else. I was outside the book's window in the freezing cold all night, keeping an eye on his room. No one else visited his room but that short little round-backed Eastern fella. Why were you peeping in his room all night? Wait, what did you say? You were keeping an eye on Mr. Shamspeare's room? Thank you, Hiccups. Could you not? On Mr. Shamspeare's room all night? That's right. Of course, the bloke's window is all but blocked up, isn't it? But there's a little gap in the bricks where you can see in the room. So I spent the night trying to keep my teeth from chattering as I peered in through that. Whatever he's getting paid, it's not enough. So, what happened to Josh Fay's? What? Spent the last 2 months watching every single top 10 MMO video for the past 20 years and correlating all the placings of every game and averaging that in a 48-page spreadsheet to create a ranking of top 250 MMOs. Okay. I mean, cool, but also... What? Yeah, whatever he's getting paid by his company is not enough to spend the night trying to peer through a small gap in a window on a freezing winter's night. The question is, sir, why? Well, that's because he's on my list. He's part B and he's part bobblehead. He is 100% just a bobblehead. What a piece of work is a man. Wherefore wouldst thou not stare in wonderment? What are you talking about? This buzzing busybody has no part in this play. I pray thee, pay him no heed. Then why is he here? Make no more ado about his tedious words. He spent all night looking into the room. He's as much a witness as anyone else. And nobody will let him say why he's here. So no, I'm not going to pay him no heed. He's clearly important and has something to say that nobody's letting him say. Yep, that's a B, alright. What did he say about me? Calm yourself. This court is concerned with what happened on the night in question, nothing more. But he witnessed the entirety of the night in question by his own admission. Indeed, that is so. And as the testimony we have just heard clearly reveals, there was no one other than the accused present at the time who could have carried out this crime. Well, I believe this may be the final testimony of the trial. Now, counsel, the defense may proceed with the cross-examination. Yes, my lord. Cannot believe he just stands there like that.
Hold it!
To be clear, by neighbor, you're referring to the defendant, Mr. Natsume. Oh, indeed, sire. Perchance thou wouldst that I call him the man from upstairs. And at what time did the mustachioed Nipponese visit you in your room? Our meeting was promised for the hour of 9, and lo, did he come to tender a gift of fragrant tea. Details which are in accordance with the defendant's own testimony, yes. And we were broiled in such a literary debate as history hath not seen before. By which I presume he means the discussion about who was the stronger, Romeo or Juliet. I, Shamspeare, did play the part of young Romeo, whilst my neighbour played the fair Juliet. Each of us dressed as what our character would be, to bring weight upon our merry experiment. Dare not imagine the scene. Frailty, thy name is woman. Canst thou imagine how dismayed I was? Yes, I had heard of the eastern art of jujitsu, but ne'er did I dream 'twould be a skill practiced by the comely maiden. Juliet beat Romeo up? This is not helping our case. I believe the court has heard enough about your earth-shatteringly literary debate. Perhaps you could reiterate your statement about the tea that the accused brought to your room. My liege, I am thy servant. Gladly I would do thy bidding.
Hold it!
Let me stop you then. Mr. Natsume left your room at 11 o'clock. But it wasn't until after 2 that the poison made you collapse. That amounts to more than 3 hours of missing time. What are you doing, sir? There's two really good reasons to let this go. One, it's just letting it sink in. And the other is that the auto clip thing records the last 30 seconds. So there you go. If the defendant had really put the poison into your tea, that 3-hour window of time is something you're going to have to explain. Gladly, it is an easy task. What? I did drink of the tea, not whilst my guest did tarry, but after he took leave of me. Faith, 'twas stone cold, but at 1 hour past post midnight, verily were my lips parched.
Objection!
That doesn't sound normal. Nay, 'tis quite ordinary, sire, after all. Thou wouldst recall our fiery debate. Amidst such argument there'd be no time for fiery tea. Romeo and Juliet again. And who was stronger? Mr. Shamspeare, in summary, allow me to confirm. Did you not come here with the intention of naming your attacker? But of course, my liege. 'Twas the stooped lover of words that attempt to shuffle me off this mortal coil. We all know what that means.
Hold it!
So, you don't have any kind of evening meal? Dinner? Supper? Ha! Fie on luxury, fie on gluttony. To eat thrice daily is but a waste of time. Disagree. Disagree. That said, I actually usually only have 2 meals a day. I usually just have lunch and dinner. Lunch being like noon and dinner being after stream. So, you know, very, very separated. However, I do like to occasionally go to McDonald's and get breakfast sandwiches. And I'm going tomorrow, even though it's supposed to be cold. Because it's supposed to rain the rest of the week. And I just want a breakfast sandwich. I'm also really concerned that they're going to do away with the buy one, get one breakfast sandwich deal. Because if they ever do, it ain't worth it at all. At all. 2 breakfast sandwiches for $5. You know what? That ain't bad. I can't complain. 2 breakfast sandwiches for $10. No. Nah. Mm-mm. Nope. Not doing that. Apparently, the way better deal near me is actually Wendy's. I hear great things about Wendy's breakfast. However, the McDonald's near me opens at 6 a.m. I start work at 8:30. The Wendy's opens at 8 a.m. So I'd have to leave a little before 8 to get there, to hope they're open, to hope they're not busy, to hope they get me my food quick enough to rush back here in time to punch in for work, and I just don't want to deal with that. Whereas if I wake up at 7, go to McDonald's, get my food, I'm back here before 7:30 even, and I still got time to eat, you know, wake up, process some, like maybe watch a video or something, and then punch into work. I much prefer that. Though and the funny thing is, the Wendy's on the other side of town where I used to live apparently opens at like 6:37. I don't know the exact time, but earlier. I'd agree, Ark, but I went there one day, like my brother, well, right after that SpongeBob burger came out, because I went with my younger brother, and he was both my brothers have told me they really like the Wendy's breakfast, but they used to get it on the other side of town where we lived, where they opened up even earlier. If this place opened earlier, they'd get my business, because I think they have 2 for $3 breakfast sandwiches. Admittedly, they don't have the sandwich that I like from McDonald's, because McDonald's is the only one that does the McGriddles, but 2 for $3 ain't half bad. 2 for $3 is really good. 2 for $5's alright. 2 for $3 is phenomenal. And I think you even get a hash brown with it too, which you definitely don't at McDonald's. So, but yeah, that's my fast food morning rant. Either way, I'm going to be having far less breakfast as the weather gets colder, because at some point I ain't biking out there. It is going to be cold tomorrow, but I got gloves and a jacket, so who cares? Also found out, last thing on this tangent, because I've been doing it after card games. After the card games at night, the McDonald's closes. Their main restaurant, but the drive-thru's open. And so I can actually put in an order on the app for drive-thru pickup, go on my bike through the drive-thru, tell them the code, and just pick it up. So I'm just going to do that tomorrow. Some eggs in a toaster. Yeah, like honestly, if I don't go out, I honestly just don't have breakfast. I used to get the microwavable sandwiches, but they're just so expensive now. That's actually part of the reason I started to go to McDonald's for it. Is A, they had that sale, 2 for 1, and at that price, if I go twice a week to McDonald's and get a breakfast with a soda, it's cheaper than getting the breakfast sandwiches for every day at home. The way smaller, way dinkier, not as tasty frozen microwavable breakfast sandwiches. It's cheaper to go 2 days to McDonald's than it is to have those, because the prices on those keep skyrocketing. Yeah, that's true. At that rate, you gotta make it yourself. Like, at that rate, I'd probably end up going like oatmeal or something, because for me, for breakfast, it's gotta be something hot. Like, milk and cereal is delicious, objectively. But like, if I'm gonna wake up before work, I need something like hot. Like, maybe oatmeal or... I don't know. Oatmeal, probably. But I also just don't do breakfast that often. It's fine. I wake up to a cup of tea and am ready for work. Make eggs fair, yeah. It's hard to go wrong with just eggs of any whatever style. Sorry? I would that my belly were full no more oft than the sun doth rise. Well, most heroic eating habits, I must say. What is he doing? Night and day do I fill my hours with the learned study of the great bard and playwright. What is he doing? Why is he doing? How does he have the energy for this if he doesn't have the money to eat meals? Why? Why? If he doesn't have... How could he have the energy for this if he also can't afford food? Hence is it that there doth not in my chamber be the costumes of mine art. The immediate stop. That would appear to be the case, as even a rodent was found starved to death in your room. I think of it, it's not just food that was conspicuously missing from that room, is it? I don't recall seeing a single player script anywhere. For I have devoured them all. You've eaten them? Every word be within my skull. Didst thou imagine otherwise? Right. That wasn't misleading at all. Now, could you turn around, do you think? Which brings us to the conclusion that the only way the poison could have passed the victim's lips is in the tea. Excuse me. There's so many questions for B-Man.
Hold it!
But the windows of that house have all been filled in. A historical artifact of the now defunct window tax. Yeah, you're right there. All bricked up horribly. But as it happens, there's a little part of the brickwork at the bottom corner that's been opened up. I was looking into that gap. Yes, there were a few bricks loose, weren't there? For some strange reason, a couple of bars of soap lined up on the ledge outside as well. I don't like going around poking my chin at other people's business, especially on freezing cold nights. But that was my orders, so that's what I'll keep doing. As long as there's breath on my body. What's with all the theatricals today? Out of interest, Mr. Meterman, after the accused had left and returned to his own lodgings, did you see the victim leave the room at all? No, he never left. He was in that room the whole time, as far as I'm concerned. And we can therefore discount the possibility of suicide. How can you be so sure of that? The police carried out a thorough investigation of the scene and found no receptacle for the poison. And since we know the victim didn't leave his room, and hence didn't dispose of the poison's container himself, it's clear that this was no attempted suicide. Only the culprit could have removed the receptacle. No. Y'all just admitted that there are bricks missing from the window. definitely big enough to see through and pass items through. And that there was somebody outside that whole night. So, you know, it easily could have just been like, no, well, take the poison. Here you go, B-Man. Good luck. See you never. Ah, yes. Lucidly explained, Counsel. Thank you. It really was. You can't argue with the logic. Yes, you can. Okay, that's fine.
Hold it!
You say a short little round-backed Eastern fella. So you can't be sure it was the defendant.
Objection!
How many other short little round-backed Nipponese with a mustache do you think there are in London? Well, of course, it's only a narrow gap and it was quite dark, so I didn't notice the mustache. But he showed up at around 9, so I'm pretty sure of myself. And when the person we saw arrived, did he and Mr. Shamspeare drink tea together? Sorry, I couldn't say. Why not? I love as it pans over, it passes him just... Because I couldn't see into the room all that well, could I? But what I did see was a silhouette of that little round-backed fellow wearing a pretty dress. Then the pair of them started some kind of wrestling match. I tell you, I don't know what to make of it. Huh. Suppose... What was the Romeo and Juliet championship battle getting underway? Mr. Meaderman, allow me to confirm one final time. Apart from the accused, can you state with certainty that no one else visited the victim on the night in question? No question. Gasman's honor. I like how everyone is shocked, except Van Zieks is just like, my lord. Goodness me. Yes, Mr. Foreman. I've kept my mouth shut and listened up until now, but this has gone on long enough. Are you all with me? Yes. Are we to understand that you ladies and gentlemen of the jury are in agreement with one another? That you've reached a unanimous decision? Too right we have. Are you all with me? Yes. Wait, no! The defense is in the middle of a cross-examination. To be honest, I was holding out a bit of hope for you, young man. Especially after you identified those few hours that followed the accused leaving the victim's room. Yes, I think missing hours is a pity. But in the end, what difference do they make? None as far as I can see. And since that's now apparent, there's really no reason to delay our decision any longer. Like I was saying before, don't take 5 bob home with me tonight. The missus will blow her top.
What's that? Sorry, I didn't quite catch what you said.
Can't hear anything, still votes guilty out of just spite. And old person. Very well, let the court be appraised of your decision. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you will state your leanings as to the defendant's culpability.
Guilty.
Guilty!
Guilty.
Guilty!
Guilty.
The perfect jury, yo. Damn bastards. You know, if I was a judge, I'd be a little worried about fire exploding near my head, but he's not, so it's fine. All of you? Well, it would appear that the jury is indeed unanimous. Whoever provides this man his goblets is making so much money. So, this time at last, at least it seems justice will be done. All's well that ends well, as they say. This calls for a toast, I feel. To the guilty being punished. Get up, Mr. Naruhodo, please! The trial isn't over yet! What do you mean, Mr. Sato? What about the information I found in this encyclopedia of British law I have? That obscure right that belongs to the defense in these situations? Remember? It was literally yesterday, a summation examination. Yes, that's right. A little... We don't have a jury in Japanese courts, of course. But here in British Court of Law, if we can reverse the decision of a majority of the jurors, we can force the trial to continue. This trial can't end now. Whatever it takes, I just can't let that happen. The defense moves to invoke its right to a summation examination, my lord. See, at this rate, I feel like we're trying more. Like, it's not like he's going to be... The worst he could be tried for is attempted murder, which ain't great, don't get me wrong. But, like, since he's not being tried for actual murder, I feel what we're actually really here fighting to do is preserve the timeline. Because we know that he leaves back for Japan shortly, and if he's in prison, he can't do that. So we're trying to avoid a time paradox. Ryunosuke doesn't know it, but that's what we're doing. The defense moves to invoke its right to a summation examination, my lord. Why am I not surprised at my learned Nipponese friend's inability to admit defeat? You choose to cling desperately to some archaic rule you barely comprehend instead of accepting the truth. Every time we've clung to that archaic rule we barely comprehend, we've come out the victor, and you've lost. You eat dirt. Suck it. Certainly no other defense counsel in recent times has exercised the right to a summation examination, because they all know that once the jury's mind is set, it cannot be altered. You literally witnessed it happen yesterday! Okay, at this rate it was 2 days ago, but like... He literally saw it happen. Okay, sure. Nevertheless, the right remains and must be upheld. The defense counsel's request is granted. This court will proceed with the summation examination, as outlined in the Encyclopedia of British Law. Thank you, my lord. Are you and your fellows prepared, Mr. Foreman? Believe me, my lord, we know all about this young lad's tenacity. And we're ready for it! Very well. In that case, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I hereby call upon each of you to state the grounds upon which you find the defendant guilty of the crime for which he stands accused. Alright, well, see how this goes. The juror's contentions. The victim may not be well off, but he's a noble man, straight up. There's no reason to doubt the man. Really? What if any part of this man makes you think, I trust him implicitly? Is it the theatrics? Is it the Old English speech patterns? Is it the doesn't have enough money to actually feed himself? Is it the dresses up like Romeo and Juliet and wrestles his neighbors to find out who is more strong? Also, hey Graham, how's it going? Welcome to Viperland in the chat. Like, what part of that makes you go, could never doubt this man? Well, I do declare that the gentleman had reason to lie. In fact, I think he's rather suspended. No reason to lie. Okay, you think he's hot. Fishy. Good to know. Just look at the accused by comparison. He's Japanese, stooped all the while, and has a mustache. Very fishy. Wow! Racist! I wish some of the jurors would just goof themselves off a cliff. Wouldn't that be helpful? There's no evidence to suggest the gangling actor is a fraudsman, for now at least. I really don't care, like, I just need this trial to end quickly.
The hours of missing time is nothing when you reach my age, you know? Nothing at all. I've missed whole years.
Penny games for a headache? No. 12 confused men. 12 confused racist men. I knew it. Every single one of them seems completely convinced. It would seem that all the jurors have come to the conclusion that Mr. Shamspeare is a fine, upstanding, and honest citizen. None of those are true. We've barely met the man. If you ask me, they've all been bewitched by his strange theatrical movements, and sadly, nothing Mr. Natsume has said appears to have registered at all. Well, here goes. Let's not forget. I've pleaded with the jury on Soseki-san's behalf before, and it worked, so you never know. Before we begin, it might be an idea for me to remind you exactly how a summation examination works, Mr. Naruhodo. Oh. Well, you're still very new to British law, after all. That's true, I suppose. And Soseki-san's fate is entirely in my hands now, too. There's always a chance I might have forgotten some crucial detail. Perhaps I should hear Susato-san out. I wonder, should I let her talk me through it again, or not bother? Psh, I'm good. Thank you for the kind offer, Miss Susato. But I've been through plenty of these summation examinations already now. I think it's important that we don't delay the start any longer than necessary. Of course, I understand, and I'm quite sure you're right. If you're confused by anything at any point, you can turn to me for advice whenever you like. I'll be here for you. The key to this is really listening carefully to each juror's statement. Finding two that are contradictory and pitting the corresponding jurors against each other. Without further ado, please, counsel, proceed with the summation examination. Yeah, I got this. We're good. We're fine. Yes, my lord. He's still just standing there, catching flies.
Hold it!
Well, there are plenty of people in London who seem noble but poor. Couldn't some of them also be liars? No doubt about it. Like that shaky clan of yours, for example. Absolutely not. Mr. Natsume is no liar. Look, the point is, I hate Japanese people because they're not like me. They look slightly different and come from different places with different cultures and different language, and I just can't handle that in my day-to-day life. All I can believe in is my top hat. Look, the point is, the only thing that passed the victim's lips that night was Japanese man's tea. When I take the gas man's testimony into account as well, the truth couldn't be any clearer. Well, that's alarmingly logical. I want to be frank here. I'm a gentleman with a gentleman's values. If it turns out that the old Shakespearean chum is a rotten liar after all, I'd gladly change my decision about the defendant. And I'm sure my fellow gentlemen of the jury would do the same. Isn't that right? Well, yes, perhaps, though I don't see it happening.
What's that? Elderly gent on the end here, you know. You'll have to speak up.
Look, I really don't care about all this nonsense. I just need this trial to be over. How many gentlemen do we actually have on the jury, then? Also, if you just need it to be over, can't you just be like, innocent? Done. Alright, sir, I may hold you to that. Don't forget what you said.
Hold it!
Are you saying you believe the man to be trustworthy because he's rather splendid? No, that's not what I said. That's exactly what you said. The point is, the man is so victim to him. What is what you had in mind? What? Yes, he is rather splendid. So you say, yet again. Meanwhile, the man who stands accused for his so suspiciously is exhausting to look at him. Okay, that is the one thing I will grant them. He is a twitchy, glancing over his shoulder at every single moment little dude. He does act suspiciously. That is the single thing I will grant them. I'm afraid he's not splendid at all. Splendid logic there, madam. Thank you so much.
Hold it!
No, not one of those things is a reason to find the man guilty. But he is fishy. There's no point dancing around the fact. He's Japanese, he has a mustache, and he stoops. You see, you arrive at the conclusion in just 3 steps. 3 steps, like a waltz, in fact. A waltz of racism. You know, the more I think about it, the more this trial seems like a dance. You seem to be several steps ahead of yourself, though. But you're on the wrong foot. No, there's nothing but circumstantial evidence here. There's no actual proof of the defendant's guilt. But the victim's version of events is backed up by what the big-chinned man next to him says, isn't it? 1. He saw the Japanese man there. 2. He saw no one else. And 3. He saw the Japanese man there. Oh, that's another 3 steps. All this really does seem more and more like a waltz, doesn't it? And as a normal human man, I enjoy dancing. Right, the prosecution will waltz its way to victory if I let you speak once more.
Hold it!
Broadsman? What do you mean by that, madam? It really is a most tiresome problem for the company, most irritating. We can be absolutely certain that a customer is stealing from us, but without hard evidence, we can't even threaten to take action for fear of being sued. Oh, is she the queen bee? Sorry, you've lost me there. Who are you? I'm the wife of Augustus Altamont, owner of the Altamont Gas Company. Good gracious, Altamont Gas, you say? Gas is the future of energy in this country and around the globe, but proper handling is essential. As I'm sure our employee from the East End branch office would be the first to agree. Absolutely, Lady Quimby. Gotta be used properly. Altamont Gas is the best in the world, of course. Ah, I think we may have solved the mystery of the bow from earlier, Mr. Naruhodo. Right, he bowed in deference to his employee's wife, did he? Ah, so would I be right in assuming the reason Mr. Meterman was watching what Mr. Shamspeare was up to in his room? I'm afraid there's no end to the lengths the population of the East End will go in order to steal our gas. So I really have no choice when the company identifies somebody as a possible fraudsman. But to dispatch a worker to watch the suspect day and night, we're very thorough in our investigations. So you mean Mr. Shamspeare is... I wouldn't come out and say it in public. But you can finish that sentence with a grubby little gas thief. Great umbrella. You have noticed the public gallery in here, have you? The eye of man hath not heard, the ear of man hath not seen. Faith, wouldst thou wound me with thy words, were I to let them penetrate the skin. But seraphs hear not insults, only choirs of angels in song. We may have no evidence yet, but my workers won't stop buzzing around you until they find it. And when they do, you'll find yourself blasted back to your angelic heights and in Altamont gas explosion. Don't... Alright, so Mr. Shamspeare has been stealing gas. I wonder, juror number 4, if you wouldn't mind adding that information to your statement. My pleasure. Was it the bit about ripping that thief apart you enjoyed? A little before that part about abject violence, if it's not too much trouble. Yes, of course. This could be it. This could be the shift. This could shift the balance. Alright, so pretty sure where that's gonna go, but let's see what else it
Hold
says.
it!
You keep talking about needing to take home some money. What's that all about, sir? Finish last. That's what it's about. What's that? Talk about the Derby at Hyde Park, aren't I? It was the Queen's Cup last week, wasn't it? The Derby? It was a dead cert, that's the thing. I couldn't lose. I took my wife's secret savings, like. But then, that hopeless old mare went and did the unthinkable. Ah, the stupid Finish Last. He bet on a horse called Finish Last? Oh my god. I'm no superstitious person, but who names a racing horse Finish Last? Oh dear, I think it's clear what happened, isn't it? This is the day the missus uses her savings for a trip down to the pub. So come on, let this business lie now. Just give it up. I'm sorry, I'm not going to let you imprison a man indefinitely for attempted murder, for falsely accused attempted murder, just because you suck at gambling.
Hold it!
What do you really mean by that, sir?
Well, I'm not one to boast, but I get up at 5 in the morning and do.
Oh, good luck fishing, Robin. At 5, you're a really early riser then, aren't you?
What's that now?
I said, you're an early riser.
Oh, well, I wouldn't say that. I mean, I like to while away the hours in the evening reading books as well. But by about 2 in the morning, I'm usually too tired to go on.
He sleeps at 2 in the morning and gets up at 5? Oh my, that means he only has 3 hours of sleep each night.
What's that, dear?
Only 3 hours of sleep each night!
That's right. You see, 3 hours of missing time. Like I said, it's not much, is it?
This really isn't helping. Key to summation examinations is identifying contradictions between juror statements, Mr. Naruhodo. Right, and once I found two jurors whose statements can't coexist, I need to pit those jurors against each other. Hopefully, when they see that what they're saying doesn't make sense, they'll change their leaning. Yes, and if you're able to change the minds of a majority of the jurors, the trial will continue. But conversely, if you're unable to do that, the judge will declare the trial over and move to adjudication. I can't let that happen. Somehow or other, I have to turn this trial around.
Hold it!
No, not hold it. Will you stand by that statement? Yeah, perfect, clear. Change the decision. They don't give a damn. Nobody's listening to you. Cool.
Objection!
I mean, definitely that. Those two statements clearly contradict each other. Good gracious! Two statements do you refer, counsel? Juror number 1. What are you yowling about, lad? Presume you've heard juror number 4's statement, made by the wife of the owner of the Altamont Gas. Well, yes. The victim, who you claim to be a noble, straight-up man, in fact, turns out to be a common thief. So the good lady says, but there's no evidence, is there? You and I both heard them say as much. It's true, we don't have evidence as such, just yet. But the claims aren't baseless, you know. But you heard me, seeing as his operation has already been compromised. I would suggest that the court hears testimony from our East End branch office employee over there. I'll do whatever you say, my lady. Gasman's honor. Juror number 1, you say you're a man of your word. If I could show that Mr. Shamspeare was a liar, you assured me that you would reconsider your decision about the defendant's guilt. Yes, I did say that. As a man of honor, I'll hold to it, as I'm sure the other gentlemen of the jury will. Me? Me? Oh, well, yes. Now that we've found out the man's a liar, perhaps we ought to consider the matter further.
Well, I'm perfectly honest. I haven't heard half of what you've all been saying. So if this means to recap a few points, that would suit me down to the ground.
Oh no, I'm not having any part of this. I want this trial over and done with. In that case, I shall change my leaning. So, Mr. William Shamspeare, if that is your real name, we of the jury demand to know exactly what kind of a man you really are. Much better. That's 4 jurors. 4 for not guilty. Yes, Mr. Naruhodo. Victory. Well, I mean, victory for now. Not defeat yet. Order, order. Well, this is quite extraordinary, I must say. As a result of the defense's summation examination, the jury's leaning has changed. Now, only 2 jurors say guilty, whilst 4 say not guilty. I therefore declare this court to be in a state of disaccord, and order the trial to continue. You have spoiled the bouquet, Mr. Shamspeare. You were never going to drink it. If you drink it, the game gets an extra ESRB rating of alcohol use. The ladies and gentlemen of the jury now find they are unable to trust you, the victim. But you gods will give us some faults to make us men. So God mend me, I do swear. This gasman speaketh that which concerns him most, naught but gas, naught but thin air. Aye, it burneth bright a while, but it hath no substance, and it doth reek foul. Aye, what did he say? Do I take it, Mr. Shamspeare, that you deny the allegations of gas thievery? Most heartily, my lord, hast thou forgot I am as a seraph, an angel, noble of mind, sweet of nature, and verily honest of heart. Ah, you flowery-mouthed, pompous beanpole, just because I haven't got the evidence yet. Flowery-mouthed, pompous beanpole. Mr. Shamspeare, if, in fact, you are not noble of mind, sweet of nature, or honest of heart, if you are a liar, then your testimony should have no sway in this courtroom. It is my considered opinion that at the present time no other possible culprit of this crime has been identified. All testimony heard by the court thus far heavily implicates the defendant. In short, it would not be unreasonable at this stage for me to rule on the case. Oh no. However, in light of the fact that the jury has expressed concern about the fidelity of this witness, can't imagine why they might think this lad might not be the most trustworthy, sharp-witted, focused man we've ever seen. I don't know. I believe it would be inappropriate for this court not to pursue the point further.
Objection!
I assure you, my lord, that would be a waste of the court's time. The gas in this case are unrelated. Juror number 4. Yes. Didn't you say before that although you had no hard evidence to prove this man has been stealing gas, you have strong grounds for suspecting him? That's right, we do. Don't we, worker? Absolutely, Lady Quinby. Gasman's honor. Her name is Queen Bee, too. Very well then, we will hear your testimony now. You will tell the court precisely why you believe the victim, Mr. William Shamspeare, has been stealing gas. Yes, my lord. It'll be a pleasure. Ultimate, if I may, my lord. Go ahead, madam. This worker's testimony may have a significant bearing on the good name of my husband's company. Therefore, I should like to take the stand alongside him in a supervisory role, if you would not mind. Woohoo! Woohoo! Yeah, sweet as honey. Yeah. Very well. As an exception, I shall honor your request. Thank you, my lord. You wait till the boss gives you an earful. Oh, it's gonna sting. You mark my words. So, you will both testify before the court on the subject of the illegal consumption of the Altamont Gas Company fuel. Yes. Is that clear, my good man? Clear as ultimate gas, my lady. Which is the clearest in the world. Do you think the gas has gone to his head, Miss Susato? I think the man is just a very dedicated employee, Mr. Naruhodo. Sure. The Altamont Gas Company's investigation. I'm proud to be the company's East End branch investigator and meter money collection agent. Altamont gas meters accept there are penny bits, each coin giving customers about 2 hours of gorgeous gas. And yet, the meter in Mr. Shamspeare's room didn't have a single coin in it. The meter doesn't appear to have been tampered with, though, and the collection agent has the only key. Somehow, he's using all that flaming gas he wants without paying a penny. If that's not thieving, what is? Sure. Honestly, yeah. That's clearly what happens. This entire time has been planned for. Pray forgive the discourtesy. The irreverence of this testimony caused me to turn to my hollow chalice. Did he actually drink some? What do you mean by that remark, Lord Van Zeeks? Did the mustachio's Nipponese poison the gangling excuse for an actor, or didn't he? That is all that should concern this court, and yet, now we must listen to this abhorrence. Clearly, what separates the vast British Empire and your eastern island nation is more than geographical distance. But this could turn out to be crucial testimony. The cross-examination must go ahead. Ah, my eyes! Do what you will. Lord Van Zeeks appears to be in a violent mood. Yes, he does. An attempted poisoning and an incident of gas theft. With no supporting evidence. It's true that they would appear completely unrelated at first glance, but I wonder. The truth tends to be buried in the most unusual places. And the first step in uncovering it will be to establish just who and what this man really is. It's not a brain cell movement behind those eyes. Just not a one.
Hold it!
Sure you are. So, does that mean you enter people's houses in order to empty their gas meters? And I do. I have to try to catch people when they're in. Then I ask permission to come inside and do my business. Does that mean you've been into Mr. Natsume's room before as well as that of Mr. Shamspeare? Oh, now, interesting you should bring that up, because I couldn't believe how little money was in his meter. I mean, how the pair of them survive the winter is beyond me, it really is. Knowing Mr. Natsume, he probably spends all his gas money on books. And when he's finished reading them, he probably burns them for warmth. Kindly reiterate your statement about the gas meters themselves, Mr. Wiggleman. Not much to say, really, but as you wish.
Hold it!
So all London houses that have a gas supply are fitted with these gas meters, are they? They're the latest model, the height of technology developed by our company Altamont Gas. And anyone who uses our gas will have one of these meters on their property, yes. So, if a 3-pence coin gives 2 hours of gas, most people would use about 3 coins in a night. Yeah, a bit more than that usually, if they have both gas lights and gas stove, that is. Thinking about it, Soseki-san doesn't have a fireplace in that room of his, does he? Some people still choose to use candles, of course, and only have gas for heating. Yes, I do remember seeing candles in Mr. Natsume's room, actually. And how does the money in the meter get back to you at the gas company? Every 3 days, gasmen like me visit properties in the gas supply and empty the meters of coins. I must say, the design and manufacture of the new meter cost the company an awful lot of money. But happily, it did put a stop to people not paying their dues, for the most part. Ah, because I have to pay in advance, you mean? Yes, exactly right. Oh, nope, I didn't actually do that.
Hold it!
Out of interest, how long has this been going on? Weeks and weeks. He's been pinching gas on us for ages. And you've examined the meter in Mr. Shamspeare's room, I take it. Naturally, we took it off the wall and went over it with a fine-tooth comb. And found nothing suspicious at all, I presume. Otherwise, well, yeah, otherwise they'd have evidence this way. No, I'm afraid we didn't. Which is exactly why I demanded a new type of meter be produced. One with an indestructible lock. The Shamspeare Special. That sounds like it would have cost an awful lot of 3-penny pieces. But even after all that, the rascal's meter was still empty. I'll never forget the humiliation when I opened up the money box and found it bare. You what? I said. You what? The look on his face, that smarmy smile of his. Well, the meter straight off the wall and took it back to the office. But you know what? Nothing. Not a trace of it being jimmied open anywhere, not a single sign. What's happening to my salary as a result? Down by 3 shillings a day, that's what. A life-threatening situation in a number of ways. Incidentally, what became of the meter? Nothing became of it. I've still got it. Oh. Right here. No wonder they call you Meter Man. Think it would be prudent for the court to sequester this item while the trial is ongoing. Yeah, probably. Gas meters added. Definitely. Although at first glance, there doesn't appear to be anything unusual about it. Let's move this along, shall we? Continue with your testimony. No. It's a very sturdy looking padlock, isn't it? Money box is sealed with beeswax, too. So if Mr. Sholmes were to get up to any mischief, he'd be found out immediately. Mr. Naruhodo, mischief of that kind is not the sort of thing that Mr. Sholmes would... You know you didn't finish that sentence. Don't you? Well, anyway. I understand that the gas company would want to safeguard the money that's rightfully theirs. But it does feel a little over the top, perhaps, doesn't it? Ah. Oh, what's this? Have you spotted something, Mr. Naruhodo? Just here. It's a little hole, do you see? Goodness, you're right. I wouldn't have noticed. It's not a very neat hole, is it? Not professionally made, I'd say. So you think it might have been opened by Mr. Shamspeare? Possibly. Seems the people at Altamont Gas must have missed it. It certainly seems to go all the way through to the inside. Yes, but there's no way a coin could fit through there. That's true, but even so, it seems more than a little suspicious. What if there's anything actually else? Maybe not. Looks like there's really only those two things. Though I would say it has as much value as the contents of that meter. Ugh.
Hold it!
There's only one key for all of your meters? Well, in truth, there's another key in the company vault in the main office. But even if someone had somehow managed to get a hold of a key, we'd know if the coin box had been opened. Oh, how? I came up with a rather clever way to expose any little shenanigans as it happens. You care to explain? Well now, in order to empty a meter, you have to unlock the padlock and remove the core. When I close the cover again, I stick a little beeswax seal on it, you see? Seal? Like the sort of thing you'd put in an envelope, you mean? Something like that, yes. Basically, you can't remove the cover again without breaking the seal. Now, in the case of Mr. Shamspeare's meter, there was no coins inside at all, as I said. But the seal hadn't broken either. So that would mean Mr. Shamspeare somehow managed to steal coins from inside the meter without opening it. It would seem so, but that would be impossible. Heard this one, right? Yeah. So it did switch over the file. Looks like it's going to take place in the same room. According to the testimony, it's only the meter in Mr. Shamspeare's room that's under suspicion. It does seem as though perhaps it has nothing to do with the incident involving Mr. Natsume. I know, it does seem that way, but the fact is, since I've been practicing law in England, I feel like I've encountered this at least once already. Cases that are interlinked. Oh, it might seem that two cases have nothing to do with one another at first, but in fact, they're intimately connected. Yes, we have experienced that before, haven't we? I wonder if this is another instance. Perhaps, but we can't be sure of that yet. If the Altamont Gas Company has been investigating Mr. Shamspeare so earnestly, there must be something to it. And then how has it managed to steal their gas? So here's where we present
Objection!
Lady Altamont. I'm afraid to say that this meter clearly does show signs of having been tampered with. How did you not notice? What? Get away! I've been over and over that thing. Did you not turn it upside down? I'm telling you, there's nothing wrong with it. If that's the case, what do you have to say about this small hole that's been made at the base of the coin box? Oh, what? You're right. You're quite right. There's a little hole there. The meter's not supposed to have that. None of the others do. In other words, we can assume that Mr. Shamspeare secretly opened up this hole himself. Yes, I wouldn't be at all surprised. But why? Yeah, why? I mean, it's tiny. You couldn't get a farthing to that. Lady Altamont. I wonder if you could give the court some more details about your meter design. What sort of details? Well, what I'd specifically like to know is... how it differentiates coins seems logical. How does the meter tell the difference between different coins? What do you mean? Well, for example, if someone were to put in a 1 penny coin, that wouldn't work, presumably, would it? No, of course not. So, well, how does the meter know that the coin has been fed is a threepenny bit? Ah, I see what you're getting at now. The meter tells coins apart by their shape and size, which includes their thickness. A threepenny bit is about 3/4 of an inch in diameter, you see. Other coins just won't fit. Ah, I see. It's clearly been very well thought out. The witness will amend her formal testimony with that information in case it's pertinent. As you wish, my lord. I'm getting a better idea of how things are going, but I don't know what to show to get this. So what do we have left? Leaky gas meter. Victim's medical report, probably not helpful here. Crime scene photograph, probably not helpful here. Letter, probably not helpful here. I really think the soap is the way to go. Oh, look at this bar of soap. It's a circular depression on the side, about 2 centimeters across, or 3/4 of an inch. Ah, do you think... We did find the soap at the scene, didn't we? Yes, there were 2 bars on that little ledge just outside the window. So we took this one. But I'm sure that when we first found it, there was some sort of reddish medallion in the middle there. I remembered it clearly. Yes, but there's no sign of it now. Where could it have gone? I was hoping that was gonna... Because that's clearly... No, it says we haven't... No, it's not going to look at the rest of it. It's a long shot.
Attention!
Let me just confirm something here. If the diameter and thickness were to be correct, the meter would accept any object as if it were a threepenny bit. Is that correct? See, I haven't lost any HP yet. Just saying. Yes, that is correct. Well, by something of a coincidence, while we were investigating in Mr. Shamspeare's room, we found a particular item that matches the dimensions perfectly. Something the same size as a threepenny bit. What was it? The item in question is this. What? Have you been inhaling gas? That's a bar of soap. It certainly looks nothing like a threepenny bit, I must say. Looks like I'm going to have to point out exactly what I mean here. What's so important about the soap is this part here.
Got it!
You have to turn over the soap to see what I mean. Ah! Are you referring to that round depression in the middle of the soap there? That's right, a depression that's approximately 3/4 of an inch in diameter. In other words, almost exactly the same size as a threepenny bit. Get away! Does anyone here present have in their possession a threepenny bit? Quickly now, hand over your coins, ladies and gentlemen. It sounds rather like a highway robbery, doesn't it? Thanks to a kind member of the public in the gallery, I have here a threepenny bit. Now to see if it fits. My word, it couldn't be more snug. Yes, as I suspected. This, without a doubt, is a vital clue to explain how the Altamont Gas Company is being defrauded. Well, I don't believe it. Well, there goes more. So, your assertion amounts to what? That some inferior bar of soap has a tentative connection to the theft of gas. Yes! The depression in the soap... One second. Sorry, dry throat. The depression in the soap was clearly made by a threepenny bit. I must concur at least that pushing a coin with some force into a poor quality bar of soap such as this is a remarkably simple way of replicating the coin's shape. And then you could use, well, some melted wax or something to pour into the mold. You can make fake coins in no time. He understands. I just realized his little neckerchief scarf is his wings. This brings all the pieces of the puzzle together. It's the method Mr. Shamspeare has been using to steal the gas. That's the missing link. And now, I'll follow the chain of thought. It's going to bring me to a new explanation for what happened that nobody's considered yet. But this is all nonsense. If the man had been making fake coins, my worker here would have found them when he emptied the meter. Quite true, Lady Altamont. In the absence of some black magic that could make them disappear, or some hole in the bottom where you could have something that was maybe solid at a frozen temperature but liquid at room temperature, it might melt out of there and just puddle on the ground like the puddle that we saw in the picture underneath his meter. Now mind you, I will give Van Zeeks one thing here. I'll see how this connects to the... I mean, the only way I can see this connecting to the case is if whatever he uses for those coins is toxic. I don't yet see how this immediately connects to the case. But hey, let's take the guy down a peg. I'm down for that. For the quote scene even got to it. Like, my assumption kinda is that whatever they use for those coins is a substance that has to be... it has to be toxic. That's the only way this all connects. I see. That's what we're dealing with, is it? There's one form of black magic that could cause the fake coins to disappear into thin air, yes? Exactly. And the meter here gives it away. What on earth? are remnants of the magical method used visible on the gas meter taken from the victim's room. That is your assertion, counsel. The defense will identify these remnants for the court at once. Where on the meter can the remnants of the method used to make the fake coins disappear be seen? I mean, there.
Got it!
We found this bar of soap at the scene of the crime just outside the victim's window. Outside? Yes, outside, where you yourself, Mr. Meterman, were loitering in the freezing winter air. That's where we found this soap. Ah, then get it! That's right, the answer, of course, is ice. Did you say ice? Mr. Shamspeare has been leaving soaps like this outside his window each evening, filled with water. After a night outside in the bitter cold, the water is completely frozen solid the next morning. Then he takes his fake coins of ice and feeds them into the gas meter, giving him light and warmth in spades. As his room becomes very comfortably warm, the ice now inside the meter's coin box melts, turning back into water, then draining harmlessly away through the small hole made in the underside of the meter. That is how, without leaving any evidence of his wrongdoing, this man has been stealing Altamont gas. Just like that, so simply. Is he trying to make us look like idiots? No, he's succeeding. He's been fooling us all with some bars of soap and some water. Yes, very much succeeding, like I said. That's right, madam. Yeah, true. Besides clearly, like, stabbing a hole in the bottom of it. I don't believe it. It can't be true. Do you have any idea how much money we spent to develop that new meter? That sounds like a you problem. Now you have the audacity to suggest that a bit of soap and some water can render it totally useless. Sounds like a you problem. Maybe you should have looked into things better. Thought about stuff. Maybe. Also, why is it my fault? Fairly sure I didn't design it. Evidence. Sorry? What evidence? If you're going to stay there and tell me our meters are rubbish, I want we have to prove to her? Okay. She's very good at enforcing accountability, isn't she? Very well, Lady Altamont. If you'd like evidence, I'll provide it. What? Mr. Naruhodo, are you saying... Do you actually have evidence to support this theory? I did notice a trace of something that bothered me a little at the time. I have a feeling that this theory we've come up with now could explain it. A piece of evidence that substantiates the theory about how Mr. Shamspeare has been stealing gas is... Ooh, okay. So it's either the cups, which I don't think it is. I mean, we can literally see the puddle under there. I feel like, to me, it's gotta be that, right? Because, like, you can literally see it. It's right there. But I've been so wrong before on things I was so sure about. So let's just quickly, definitely not, definitely not, definitely not, probably not. Don't know how this plays in yet. Maybe. I think so. No. Don't think so. But maybe... I gotta say this. My gut says this. We're doing that one. This is a photograph of the scene at the point when the victim was discovered, taken by Inspector Gregson. And it clearly shows the remnants of the crimes carried out by Mr. Shamspeare. What remnants? Dude, you literally helped us explain away how this happened. The remnant of ice melting is what, Mr. Van Zieks? What is it? What would that be? What would that be? I'm gonna play dumb here, you son of a gun. Here you can see the gas meter on the wall in Mr. Shamspeare's room. Now, look closely at the floorboards directly underneath the meter. What is that? Some kind of grubby stain? Almost certainly. It's a water stain resulting from the liquid that drained out of the hole made in the meter. Huh. If one coin gives around 2 hours of gas usage, and the occupant was heating his room in all his waking hours, we can imagine he would have used around 10 of his fake coins each day. Melting ice inside the meter's coin box would have been dripping out almost constantly, leaving a stain on the floor. This is awful. No, your R&D department is awful. And there's further evidence, too. Mr. Shamspeare slumped over his table, apparently having consumed strychnine. And right there next to him is a bar of soap, broken in half. You're right. It would appear to me then, counsel, that the man was eating the soap, was he? Pardon me for disagreeing with your lordship, but certainly not. He didn't beat around the bush there, did he? In truth, Mr. Shamspeare was found with a fork in his hand. One thing is should be working for the weight of the coins. Yeah, you'd think, but clearly not then. Do you mean to say he was using that fork to... Yes. To extract a frozen coin from the bar of soap. The bar broke in half. So perhaps it didn't go very well. Good gracious! Ah, god damn it! I just got the glass out of my other eye! Lord Van Zieks! I was throwing my hand up in despair, and happened to catch my hollowed bottle on the way. Pray forgive my malderat mistake. What is the meaning of this, counsel? Allow me to pose my learned friend a question. What exactly did you establish with your most recent cross-examination? Well, that Mr. William Shamspeare is a liar and a thief. In other words, that his testimony is unreliable. That's it. That's exactly it. Very well. Let us assume the man is a liar. Now allow me to pose another question. What possible difference does that make? Well, we know that suicide can be discounted. Scotland Yard's investigation revealed no sign of another vessel that contained poison. And on the night in question, there were no visitors to the room except the accused. The young gasman's testimony, which we have no reason to doubt, has confirmed that. Furthermore, the only possible way the poison could have entered the victim's body is via the tea. The court has seen no evidence whatsoever that suggests otherwise. Even if William Shamspeare is the liar you claim him to be, these facts have been objectively established. There's no escaping it. Therefore, in light of these facts, prosecution calls for immediate agitation. You! What? And he's dead again? Order! Well, counsel, how does the defense respond? Mr. Naruto! What was the point of that last cross-examination? Did it actually get us anywhere? Or did it make no difference at all, like Lord Van Zieks is saying? See, it clearly must have gotten us somewhere, because I still don't understand what that's for. And it has to play into this in a way that doesn't hurt us, because right now all that does is hurt our case. So there has to be more to it, says the metagaming Viper. No, this isn't over. The defense will not rest. What? But counsel, you successfully explained everything. You've identified and substantiated the unscrupulous methods employed by Mr. Shamspeare to consume gas. What more is there to discuss? Lord Van Zieks just highlighted 3 facts in order to make his point, but contrary to what he would have the court believe, not all of them have been objectively established at all. What are you trying to say, my Newpenius friend? At least one of these so-called facts is an assumption, made due to a lack of evidence. What is that? The situation has changed now following the cross-examination of the latest witness to take the stand. Don't be absurd. What is this nonsense? Yes, when you bring everything we've learned so far together and consider it as a whole, it's clear. There's a question that we now need to reconsider, namely, was the poison in the tea? It's the only one that it could be. Right? We have reliable... Hold on. Sorry, dry throat. We have reliable evidence that says nobody else entered that room. We have no reason to doubt the B-Man. So someone else responsible and they're another visitor, we kind of don't have a reason to doubt. However, poison in the tea, also we can doubt that. We've all been led to believe that the strychnine poison that afflicted Mr. Shamspeare was in the tea brought to him by Mr. Natsume. That's conjuncture at best. The victim has testified that nothing else passed his lips that night. There is no other possibility. The victim's also a lying son of a bitch who had a fork in his hand when he was poisoned. And since there were no traces of the tea left at the scene, it couldn't be tested for traces of the poison. As I said, the situation has changed, because in fact, some of Mr. Natsume's tea was left at the scene, and a particular piece of evidence proves it. A ludicrous claim. Scotland Yard detectives investigated the scene exhaustively. What evidence are you suggesting they missed? The defense has made a bold claim indeed. Very well, counsel. Present your proof. What evidence from the scene of the crime can tell us about the nature of the defendant's tea? So, it's either the bar of soap, because there should be another bar there that also has a little medallion of what is probably frozen tea, or it's this. But they would have noticed those cups and been like, yeah, well, we can't test that ring around it. So it's got to be that. It has to be the soap.
Take that!
It has to be. Good gracious! The soap again! The same bar the victim used to fashion his coins of ice. Yes, that's right, my lord. It's just come back to me. Something about when we first found this bar of soap. No! Soap, not soup. Those are very different things. Please don't drink soap. I don't even know how you would manage to drink soap. I could go for some soup right now, but something about when we first found this bar of soap at the scene yesterday. I'm quite certain that when we originally stumbled upon the bars of soap, there was actually a frozen coin in each bar. So you discovered the gas thief's coin factory. Fascinating. I'm not doubting that, Grim. I'm doubting that you'd be successful in buying clothes at the soap store. I'm at soap. Good luck. At least that makes a little bit of sense. You use soap to wash clothes. So, you know, maybe those things could coexist at the same time in the same physical, soapy space. Well, maybe. I don't know. Maybe you are at soap. This is Grim, coming to you live from soap. In a way, yes, but there's more. The coins we found in the soap at the time weren't normal ice. There was something strange about them, you mean? That's a reach, but sure. Could, in a way, drink soap. You just need 15 others. What? Exactly, something very obviously strange. Like 50 mothers. Ah, true, okay. They were red. The ice was red. No! You mean... That's right. It's obvious to me now. The fake coins in the soap
The one to fill your dark soul with light.
were made of the dark soul filled with light. Were made from frozen tea. What? I would remind the court of a statement made by Mr. Natsume earlier in this trial. Ah, yes. I believe there had been a snowfall that day. It was particularly cold. Sadly, on such occasions, the poor constructed water mains of the East End are prone to freezing. So on the night in question, Mr. Shamspeare, having no running water to use, was forced to use the tea brought by Mr. Natsume in order to make his fake coins. My word! There were 2 bars of soap on the window ledge when my judicial assistant and I had investigated the scene. That's right, and we only borrowed 1 of them. Which means that even as we speak, some of the defendant's tea is still present at the scene of the crime, frozen solid in a bar of soap outside of Mr. Shamspeare's window. Extraordinary! Earlier today, Inspector Gregson informed the court that if even 1 drop of the tea remained, Scotland Yard would be able to analyze it for poison. As such, we are now in a position to prove or disprove what has until now been mere conjecture, by finding out for sure whether or not Mr. Natsume's tea actually contains strychnine at all.
Ugh, you smug Japanese.
My lord, we cannot do the defendant the injustice of passing judgment now. The police should be dispatched to recover the remaining bar of soap from the scene at once, and the defense requests a thorough analysis of the frozen tea embedded in it, to determine whether or not it contains any poison. Bailiff! Bailiff! Instruct the police to attend the scene at once.
Yes, my lord, understood.
That us pointing, him just looking at his hand in defeat. It's a good scene. It would seem we have no choice but to suspend these proceedings for the time being. I trust you have no objection, Lord Vences. None, my lord. Scotland Yard will recover the tea from the scene and carry out the requisite tests immediately. The trial will resume at the same hour tomorrow. The prosecution and defense may conduct further investigations as appropriate in the interim. Yes, my lord. No, an actual, break in a case. We didn't get any of these in the first game. Well, we managed to scrape through there somehow. Thank you, counsels. Court is adjourned until tomorrow. To be continued. Well, I hate to point out the obvious thing, that this is a logical ending point. I really thought the case was going to end in one go, so I'm really curious what else is going to be here. I truly don't know. I'm assuming there's no poison in the tea, right? Because if there's poison in the tea, the case is done. There's nothing left. Cool. So there has to be no poison in the tea. That just makes sense. So how did he get strychnine in his system? Yeah, how did he get strychnine in his system? How does the letter work with that? How did B-Man not find out? I assume B-Man doesn't have a motive for murder, because if you kill him, you can't find out how he's been stealing money from you guys and get that money back. I mean, maybe, but doesn't it have to be strychnine at the soap store? I'm not asking where he got it from. I'm asking he bought poison at soap. I'm asking how it got into his system, and I guess if he bought poison at soap, then, yeah, I suppose. The fork will somehow play into things, I'm sure. And though it looked like didn't we already cover that though the soap looked like it had a bite mark out of it, it was really just ripped in two? Like the other half they met for one bar. So I don't know. I really don't know where this is going. I really like that worker bees animations because it's all chin. It's 120% chin, and it's great. Yeah. Next week we'll be playing more of this. Tomorrow East, Tuesday East, Wednesday off for D&D, Thursday off for Thanksgiving, Friday up in the air. I may end up attending one of my brother's streams. We may end up doing something here. I don't know about Friday yet. Saturday for sure, streaming. And Sunday this. Wednesday, Thursday, definitely off. Friday, unknown at the moment. As soon as I know more, let people know. That's what we got. That's what's going on. I don't think we're close enough to East to worry about finishing it yet, but on the off chance we finish East, then the next East night will just be East 10. So, like, cool. I get the feeling the fact that we've only done like 50% of the map, we got a little bit left in that game, I think. But I don't know. I've only played one of the East before, so who the hell knows? We could be minutes away from finishing it. We could be barely scratching the surface. It could be either. For now, we have a monster, a core, a Discord. Yeah, I'm assuming we've got a little ways further to go still. And
Shut up!
Yahoo!
Moe Moe Kyun.